I am live, so bear with me. I am eating and throwing together last minute changes to the setup and lighting and everything else. But let's hear it. Let's do it. Let's hang out, folks. If you are a member, I will send you the link. You come hang out with me. What a week. What a lot to talk about. Different things that are going on. So many of you are already out there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate all the support, the love. You guys have just been amazing. I can't imagine this is actually happening. I got to be honest. Just, lifelong nerd, just doing this kind of stuff. And now it's like, wow, I can just hang out with people that are like minded and like the stuff that I like. So, but no, I've been playing around with the new light. The other light went out. So I got this little light, just a little tiny light. I don't know. I had to completely switch everything from right to left to right kind of thing because I'm left-handed. So my mouse is on one side, and it's like I'm running out of you. I either got to get a USB hub that has more ports or something. I got to figure something out. So, but I had a crazy week last week. The last minute, I posted about this a couple times. So, um, the yeah, my daughter had fallen and we were due to get the kids anyway. So we kind of had to race around at the last minute and get them early. And that kind of messed up my schedule. I couldn't do talk hard, couldn't do other things. So, but yeah, let's do this. Let's hang out a little bit, talk about some stuff. I see many of you in chat. Before I get to that, though, let me say hail to the man, the creator of chaos here himself, Joker Voice. How you doing, brother?
Oh, hello. Hi there. I was not going to miss this for the world.
Awesome. Well, it's good to see you, man. It's been a crazy couple weeks for me. I got another
Oh,
next week too, but always good to see you. I'm way behind on your content because I don't watch stuff until I do my own reviews. So
right.
I was 2 weeks behind on Mando. I did finally
Oof.
record it. It will drop. It dropped today.
Okay.
I haven't recorded anything on Last of Us. I hadn't, so I'm way behind on everyone stuff.
No
But it's
worries.
just how it is. But I know you're out there. You're talking hard. You're doing your thing. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, being a supporter, man. You had my back way back in the get go.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm playing around with a restream because I'm just deciding whether I'm going to make the change or not. So that's why things look different. We play around with some of
Yeah.
the setups. We'll see how it
Yeah.
goes.
It's looking, I'm like, okay, this is an interesting little setup
Yeah,
here.
we could
Okay.
try that. But the biggest problem and a complaint that I have now is I am not. So on my YouTube, I have it pulled up on my phone because I can't handle. I don't want to try to risk stream issues by having it on an open window.
Okay.
Um, so I'm going to turn my camera off so you guys don't see me looking down quite so much. But I'm trying to, because half these comments are not popping up on Restream, so I'm not seeing this. Let me run down this and say hey to everybody. Jedi Bill, he's been a member. He's re-upped. I'm so happy to have you around, Jedi Bill. I sent you the link, man. You're more than welcome to join us. Definitely been trying to hook up with this guy. I need to watch your story with him about westerns, man. Talk about a guy's OG when it comes to the love of westerns. I share that with him. Mike, the comic relief crusader, is here. I see Matt. Matt is there. Stephen Ransom hopping in. Chris Persia. Oh, the mod is here. So we're all safe. We're all good. He can control the Pop-O-Matics, make sure everything's all right there. And if anybody's out there and you're not a member, if you jump in, you want to join, that's fine. And we're happy to throw you the link. So, Joker, what's been going on, man? What's driving most of your time right now?
Oh, God. The debacle inside the House of the Mouse. It's just all coming out at the same time. And it's kind of tragic because I have fond memories of Disney back when I was a kid. And but at the same time, it's like you made this bed, so you got to sleep in it now.
You mean you think that only losing $1.2 billion in a quarter, which is better than losing 1.5 billion in a quarter, isn't massive improvement? I mean, that's a lot. I mean,
No,
it's
no,
become that insane, isn't it? It's totally
yeah,
crazy.
it has. And with the recent shit canning, sorry, the recent removal of the Kathleen Kennedy of Marvel, which pretty much nobody saw coming, is kind of like, oh, nobody's safe now.
That's true. That's true. Before I got Matt in the back room here. We'll bring him in a second. DJ Ronnie G is here. He's throwing some love. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Let's see. Toggle switches for each port. Yeah, that's probably. I just need to buy it. Listen, I am a man that has done this on the cheap. So I'm not a fan of people who say I can't have the equipment or whatever. Everything has been like a cheap. I finally had to pull the trigger on a computer. So Never have to apologize for real life problems. Well, you know what? I don't mean it as much because family does come first, brother. Thank you so much for that. But
Exactly.
it's not as much about apology as it's actually like missing you. And I hate like saying I'm going to do something and can't deliver. That's like my biggest thing. Like, if you can't do something, you just be honest and say I can do this or I could do that. And then Padawannabe, the man himself. Oh my gosh, the goat. Listen, we got another Padawannabe challenge participant. Daryl the Derelict took it. He chopped down 2 sticks of gum, Chris. 2 sticks of gum. And I have Arwen Avalon on the hook to do it as well. So she will be joining me for a What's Your Story, and we're going to film a very exclusive Padawannabe challenge. Yes. And see, hearing rumors that the Ryan Johnson trilogy is finally canceled. Yeah, well, that's no surprise there.
It was canceled 5 years. It was canceled 5 years ago. What's up, Matt?
Yeah, man. How you doing, brother?
Hey, guys. Sorry, I'm feeling a little out of it. My back just decided about 6 hours ago to feel like I'm being stabbed in the lower back kidney area, you know?
Oh.
Gotcha.
It's like out of nowhere. I mean, just like, not like I didn't pull it. I didn't walk around funny. I'm just like getting up. I'm walking around, and all of a sudden, it's like, maybe it was a side effect of Disney Star Wars kicking in 5 years later.
Oh yeah, I tell you what, man, this stuff is just so frustrating. So
it boggles the mind. I mean, and that's actually the main reason I even popped on today was because of Disney Star Wars. But it boggles the mind, right? Like, I mean, they had a license to print money. You know what I mean? A license to print money with Marvel and Disney, Marvel and Star Wars, right? Okay, and it's like they said, okay, we have the license to print money. Let's throw it into a volcano.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like what folks like Tom and Valiant and Script Doctor have said quite accurately. They acquired these 2 properties specifically to sell merchandise to boys. The problem is they've never marketed anything for boys. They've always been they kind of always have been a company that sold merch to little girls, so they didn't hire anyone who knew how to market to little boys. So they just kept marketing the same way, and when stuff didn't go well, they kind of just pushed losses off here and losses off there, and then Disney Plus became the money hole to just throw your losses into.
Well, and I'm also hearing here in Florida. So again, I don't know what you guys have heard globally, and I see you out there, old gamer. I sent you a link as well if you want to join us. Thanks again for being a member. You're awesome, bro. Here in Florida, the complaints have been rolling in, and I have to admit, this dates back to 2019. We kind of like our membership died during the pandemic, but we used to go all the time, and we already started noticing like one of the huge things about the parks was cleanliness. You didn't see trash. And it started around Tomorrowland, like the later in the night. They basically would just stop cleaning certain areas. And you would complain or like, hey, listen, you guys aren't cleaning. Like, you're kind of, you kind of get spoiled expecting certain things. You don't want to go in there and deal with like a gas station situation in a bathroom when you're paying all this money to go to Disney parks. And then it started happening on the other side of the park near Peter Pan and that area. And it's just like, now we're hearing it's like, it's spreading everywhere. They're just not holding any of the standards that made them the brand that they were. So it's not just the crazy mess with Star Wars and all of this. So Chris Persia has donated 5 memberships. Wow. Thank you so much, Chris.
Nice.
Now,
thank you, Chris.
Make sure you hit that little green box so you can receive one of those free memberships, and let me know. I'm going to try to keep up with the links here and keep rotating people in and out. We'll try to give everybody a little bit of a fair due if we can. Troy, I see Troy Pacelli out there. Send him a link.
What's up, Troy?
Hopefully he can hop in here for a little bit. Troy Pacelli, he's igniting my fire. Oh my gosh, you have no idea how my rant will go on Glass Onion. It is so bad. I'm going to die. Before we get to the Glass Onion, though, so Matt, where are you? Do you even watch anything? Do you watch Mandalorian? Do you even watch any of the newer stuff, or are you just totally out?
I love the first season of Mandalorian. I liked most of the second season. I thought there were some writing issues, but then I've always liked Favreau and Filoni's take on Star Wars. I know it's controversial. I understand that, but I was a Clone Wars fan, so Ahsoka is my second or third favorite Star Wars character. Luke number one. Ahsoka's second or third after maybe Mara Jade. Luke and Mara Jade are my favorite Star Wars characters. Okay, and so when the movie trilogy came out, I was like, first movie, okay, it was kind of homage, call you back in type of thing. It's not a great movie, but it's not controversial for the most part, right? And then second movie comes out, and I'm like, this is not even what JJ, like, I found out later that wasn't the movie JJ wanted to make either. He had an entirely different plan that Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson just flushed. Like, they lied to him and flushed it, right? So then I'm like, the movies are basically dead after that, right? And I'm thinking Disney Star Wars is pretty much dead. And then The Mandalorian comes out, and then I'm like, wait a minute, this is Favreau and Filoni. These guys take Star Wars seriously. If you disagree with them, Favreau especially respects it. Filoni kind of, whatever. And The Mandalorian was what I really wanted in like Star Wars. It wasn't like constantly touching the big issue. It was just an adventure in the Star Wars universe, Even when Grogu showed up, I was like, okay, I was a little leery about it, but then when they got rid of him at the end of the second, I'm like, okay, they're going back to the small scale, back to, just those little side stories. That's what most of us want in an EU story in Star Wars. We don't want them fighting Death Stars every season, And then like Book of Boba Fett comes out, and 5 minutes into that, you were like, oh, like you could tell it was bad. Like you're just gone. And then I've been waiting for Obi-Wan because it started as a Lucasfilm movie about Obi-Wan Kenobi after the events of the third movie of episode 3, right?
Sith,
right. So that was supposed to be a Lucasfilm movie starring Ewan McGregor about Obi-Wan. And that eventually became what we got there. And I did a review of that. I don't know if and they were really just rants because I couldn't even focus on my structured reviews that I usually do for stuff. I was just ranting about ripping it apart, like scene by scene, like talk about the bad writing, and there were a couple, like the actors who played Leia and Ewan McGregor had pretty good chemistry, right? The scenes where they're just being like not doing the absurd plot, but like they're being like an older dude rescuing a little kid, they worked. Like they could have had something there, and then that was the end of Disney Star Wars for me, right?
Well, you're being too kind for me because I couldn't handle Kenobi. I was face palmed from the get go. That was my first. That was Pops' first dose of actual hate. Hey there, Troy. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Troy?
Let me first say thank you again to Chris Persia for that incredible donation of 5 memberships that went to Padawannabe, Lord Thoth, Jacob Ironside, Anonymous, and Olds Gamer. Let's see, I got Olds Gamer already. So I think I get, is there 5? Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Did I miss somebody? Ironcaster. There you go. I think I got you guys links if you want to try to hop in here and join us. We'll try the best we can to handle that. But yeah, man, I couldn't. Kenobi, I was face palmed after the second episode and again, I was telling people, listen,
episode 1.
All this Reva nonsense. Well, they dropped the 2 at the same time.
That's right. Okay.
Reva was the 4th or 5th problem at that point. Like I forget about just that. So I was just trying to get a temperature read of where you are on your Star Wars. Like
I'm basically black-pilled on it. There's only one way they could save it, and that's just they really do erase these movies. I'll forgive woke TV series if Kennedy is out and Favreau takes over. And if they erase the movies, because you can't. Luke Skywalker is still my favorite character, not Jake Skywalker.
Gotcha.
And I don't count anything. I mean, to me, there's 7 Star Wars films, the 6 episodes plus Rogue One. Rogue One was started as Lucas, by the way. People don't know that it was started as a Lucas project, and it worked for what it was, and that's pretty much it. I don't even count the old EU because I burned all my old EU when they killed Mara Jade. Spoilers, when they basically murdered that character off in the EU novels. I threw all my EU novels into a barbecue. So
Well, let me hop over. Let me hop over here to Troy and get his take a little bit, because I know, Troy, you've been black pilled on some of the Disney stuff way worse than I even have. So let's talk about your take on it all.
That is, I know you're not British, but that's a British understatement. I refuse to support Disney in any way, shape, or form. And this isn't just Star Wars related. This is what I see them doing with the rhymes with sweeping. To children, what you do with a broom. And
brooming.
Yeah.
Oh, the brooming.
And, I see that they have a
Troy, I was a sweeper at Disneyland for 6 years, 1 month, and 10 days. Not that I counted.
Well, I'm using a rhyming analogy here. I don't mean to disparage anyone who actually sweeps with a broom. I'm talking about something else entirely. I think everyone in the chat knows exactly what I'm talking about. But I saw that Disney has come up with a contract now to host the LGBTQ equity whatever
MOUSC.
for the next 2 years. So obviously have doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on this no longer secret agenda of theirs to destroy and corrupt a whole generation. They have become the anti-Disney. So forgive that little side ramp. I will now focus on the Star Wars.
I was just
and say that I don't want to cause further black pilling to a black pill, and I hate to and I don't want to destroy hope, but I do have to be at least a realist and point out that even I had held on to some hope regarding things like the Mandalorian and so on and so forth. The last couple episodes of the Mandalorian have pretty much doused all the hope I had, and the statements from Filoni have made it very, very clear that he very much is an acolyte of the one who pretty much destroyed Star Wars in his writing of The Last Jedi. He sits at the guy's feet and worships the guy, and has made it very clear that all roads lead to those sequels. So any hope for any retconning of those sequels, it has nothing to do with Kathleen Kennedy or anyone else.
I just want to point,
if I may.
Well, I want to point something out. I
Please,
don't want to
give me hope if you have.
No, not that. I don't want to defend Rian Johnson, but he was hired to do a job. Like, I don't think he did the job saying, I want to destroy Star Wars. I think that's the type of movie he makes. And that person decided to hire him.
He was a bull released in a China shop.
Yeah.
You can't blame the bull breaking the China.
Yeah.
He's a professional. He's a professional deconstructionist, and Glass Onion proves it, in my opinion.
Yeah. And what like it, I think he had a film before that I liked, like before he did
Looper.
Star Wars movie.
Looper was good. Looper was fine in some ways, in other ways
I
it was
will
completely
shock the
debacle.
panel by saying I hated Looper more than I hated The Last Jedi.
Yeah. But the point I'm getting is, like if we factor out the fact that it's Star Wars, that's the type of film he makes. You know what I mean? And it clearly doesn't work with Star Wars. So I don't want to like crap all over Rian Johnson and take the focus away from the singular person who did it. You know, the great trader, so to speak, of Lucas. You know, that he made basically. He made her and her husband rose to riches with Lucas.
Sure.
For those who know the history of that company, he brought them into his company when he bought their company, and made them rich as Lucasfilm elevated. And when they sold all that stock, her and her husband became billionaires and owed that to Lucas. And she promised him she would take care of the property, and she did the exact opposite.
I can agree with the exact specific points you made. You know, just like you should not be blaming Ahmed Best for the role of Jar Jar Binks. You should not be blaming, I forget the girl's name, who played Rose Tico. They played roles. That's not their...
Kelly DeMarie Tran.
Yeah. Thank you very much. But therefore you should not blame Rian Johnson for doing the job that he was hired to do. I blame him for his incredibly unprofessional way of dealing with fans online. that I blame everyone involved in Lucasfilm that has been out there, holding up, your Snoke theory sucks, and needling and picking and calling people istophobes and literally driving away your audience.
Yeah, let's go to Joker though, because Joker, you have been watching Mando. I wanted to get your update as well and where you think you're at.
All right, just to talk about the Ruin Johnson. As far as like attacking fans and everything, this is something that's been going on since 2016. Mm-hmm. This is actual the marketing. This is what studios do. Now, this is part of their marketing campaigns. As far as Dave goes, I don't think Dave has much of a spine, and he will go whichever way the wind pushes him. So if KK is out, and let's say John is elevated to like a co-CEO in charge of creative, like a James Gunn type, Dave will go along with whatever John wants. As far as Mando goes, I really liked the first season. Second season, there were 3 episodes that were just amazing episodes. Mm-hmm. And when Luke left with the child, I was like, okay, this is a nice bow. Yep. I mean, you really could have ended the series right there, and it would have been a perfect ending. But no, because we got to market some stuff. So Book of Boba Fett and Robert Rodriguez, who was really doing Book of Boba Fett to get a Alita project through Disney. Well, you bungled that. So good job. Yeah. This season has been lazy, and that's the best way to describe it. I mean, out of the 4 episodes we have seen, we have one really slow premiere episode, which does nothing. We have a Bo-Katan episode where Bo-Katan saves Din Djarin twice. We have a episode of Andor with 5 minutes of minutes of Mando in front, 5 minutes of Mando in the back, and then this last episode is another Bo-Katan episode where surprisingly Din gets a hero moment, and we get a lot of Grogu stuff now. This last episode was just absolutely Funko Pop advertising.
I would actually say you missed one there. And actually, I see a lot of people missing this. They were all caught up with the Ahmed Best cameo.
Oh, I didn't care.
I appreciated it. I liked it. But then, as one does after you've seen an episode and you stop to think about it, you go, but what was he there for? He was there for a flashback on Grogu's part. And fair enough, good storytelling. He's dealing with, I'm alive because a bunch of people sacrificed themselves for me. I dig that, which makes for a great possible story arc for him going forward, if that's where they're going with it. My problem was that it was all stuff that could have been done much more logically in the Obi-Wan show. They're doing all this, taking pieces here and putting it there, throwing it in ways that don't make any. And like you said, that Andor bit, it's like, look, do it in your own show, and then if it makes sense, add a little scene from that plugs another show. If it doesn't, leave it alone. You create the lore and let it reverberate through the storylines.
Matt, I see Matt wanting to jump in, but let me say this. I think that I found. Let's see. I guess as bad as the last episode is, it may still be the best of the 4. But
I agree.
The pacing is still so out of whack with that little flashback sequence. Like, you feel like you're completely removed, and then it's like it's because they're forging like a giant Flavor Flav style metal disc for Baby Yoda who can't even speak. I'm like, and then we bring it's like baby turkeys, and we're playing like paintball dart games, and we're just doing random crap. So my question is, Matt, you start, because do they just put a couple of things on a whiteboard and then they have interns and stuff start filling in gaps and then they script it? Because it just feels like that. It feels like chaos ideas thrown together.
Actually, that's kind of relates to what I wanted to say about the previous comment. It blends between both of them. So I don't know how true this is. I only know what I've read and what I've heard other YouTubers say and so forth, right? I'm just summarizing a couple of brief points. That back the Chapek and then the currency put in a rule that said that the great trader, so to speak, KK, she cannot overrule Favreau directly. So long as he's on site, she can't do anything, nor can her people. Favreau has final authority when he's there. When he's not there, she basically comes in and runs amok, so to speak. And so what happened with the Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian season 3 is that Favreau was off working on Ahsoka physically, and she walked into the Book of Boba Fett, literally erased his script, so to speak, or had her people do it. That's where we got the Boba Rangers from, the multicolored Boba Rangers,
Yeah, the Vespas.
Yeah. And that's where the plot of Mandalorian season 3 came from. And my understanding is that her people use something like Fahey's a nonsensical way of doing things, where he writes and films like dozens of different ways of doing things and puts it together in editing.
Scrapbooking.
Yeah.
Scrapbooking.
Yeah. Whereas Favreau follows like he puts a script together. He wants people to follow the script. If they go off the script, like if let's say he hires a director, right, for an episode, like he has to say, why do you go off the script and justify this, blah, blah, blah. Like he has an older way of doing things that's very orderly, and that's what I've read and heard from the various commentaries and articles out there. I don't know 100% how much that's true. I do know right. that
it aligns with what I've heard too. Yeah.
That tracks.
I would say my logical mind says there's an 85% chance that's true. Like that is the way it is.
I can go with that.
With that in context, I don't want to say I trust Favreau like he's going to save us all, but he has done well with the products he has had hands on, right? So all we can say now is with and you guys have watched Mandalorian season 3. I just can't bring myself to do it because I can't. After Obi-Wan, watching that and seeing my heart get ripped out, feeling my heart get ripped out, but the multitude of it, and loving the Mandalorian season 1 and liking season 2, and then when I went through trying to watch the Book of Boba Fett, I just can't. I might give Ahsoka a shot because the word is Favreau is very hands-on with that. He's not letting anyone mess with it. And she's my third favorite Star Wars character, as I said. So I will watch. I'll watch the first episode of that. But
let me jump in and first say hey to people like Zax and Wakazashi and Cannoli Sasquatch. Ryan is here. Tons of folks are hopping in, and I want to kind of get to the story behind the first part of what I put in the title of why Disney is really lost. And I know this is not the YouTuber thing. This is my personal take. As I started with the show, something happened with my daughter. I ended up getting the grandkids early, so we actually had them longer than we even planned to have them for their spring break. They are there's 4 grandkids between the ages of 2 and 7. Obviously, the 5-year-old and the 7-year-old are calling most of the shots, but let's be honest, we try to let everybody pick. The movies they chose to watch, and again, I have a massive library, as no one here would probably be surprised by. I'm an old man. I got plenty of time to accumulate things, right? They wanted to watch the new Minions movie. They wanted to watch the
Rise of Gru.
Yep. Yeah. They wanted to watch the DC Super Pets with the talking dogs, which was probably the worst of the 3 that they chose. And they wanted to watch Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, twice.
Love that movie.
And then they wanted to watch old stuff. They had every opportunity over the course of 5 days to pick from probably 100 Disney, Marvel, Star Wars related items of some persuasion. And not once, I kid you not once did it ever come into play. That means they're not as front and center in these kids' minds as they were even just a couple years ago. And I thought that was very interesting. I thought I would share that tonight because I thought that was just like, we don't talk about like the other little kids and stuff like that. We talk about the sweeping and the brooming, but this is a little different than that in the sense of, will these brands have an expiration date to some of these kids when they're just being mishandled like this? Like if Little Mermaid doesn't look like Little Mermaid, they're not going to watch it. If Snow White doesn't look like Snow White, they're not going to want to watch it. They won't relate to Peter Parker when he doesn't look like Peter Parker. Like, it's just everything about it is very ingraining in our psyche.
Can I share something about that from a marketing standpoint?
Of course.
Years ago, when and this goes to comics, okay? This was going back to the 80s, Crisis on Infinite Earths. They killed off a bunch of superheroes. One of the big ones, that classic cover, was Supergirl. Mm-hmm. And I was talking with a guy that worked at a convention that worked at he worked at DC Comics, but he wasn't, like a writer or anything like that. And I asked him, is that it? No more Supergirl? He goes, oh, absolutely not. Somehow they are going to bring back Supergirl, and she will look like the Supergirl you've always known because of the licensing. There are too many lunch boxes out there and sticker books and coloring books with that image on it. They got to bring her back. And they did it 3 different times before they finally rebooted the original, story for her. So the idea being that this is what kills a brand when you decide to race swap, gender swap, whatever, an iconic character. All of those redheaded little, animated Ariels that the girls have all loved and dressed up as and whatnot, either they walk away from it or they will not accept the new one. One way or the other, you lose a fandom.
Yeah, because it was really clear that they wouldn't understand. So just to summarize, especially the 3 oldest ones, if we were to take them to Little Mermaid, they would actually probably be confused. Like, what am I watching? It's not Little Mermaid. It's like, I know it's they can call me is and phobe and whatever they want, but it's an association for a young audience. And if that's what you grow up on, I don't understand what you're doing, because then you're prolonging your customer base for what, 20 something years for them to allegedly fall in love with the new Mulan, which to me was garbage. All these live action ones, most of them are just absolutely terrible. And I know we talk a lot about the current releases of different things like that, but it was a big eye opener for me to see them not even want to watch a Disney. They never asked to watch anything. It wasn't like we talked them out of it. They never asked to watch Cinderella, which always comes up. They never asked to watch the Toy Story products. Some of those usually come up in conversation. Yeah, nothing, zero, bupkis. So go ahead, Joker.
I was going to say, because you mentioned No Mulan, and say what you will about the other live action remakes. The one thing Mulan did not do is it did not stick to the Broadway type of score, songs, and the whatnot. The others did, and they were moderately successful. If The Little Mermaid sticks to the score and the original songs, it should do okay. That's just a numbers thing.
We're gonna hold him to that, folks. Everybody's here. You guys make sure you take note of Joker. I know they're gonna stick to the music. He's gonna go moderately successful. We'll see where that goes. I got to be honest. I think there's also a theater apathy and entertainment apathy. I think a lot of people right now with something like Mandalorian, it goes back to what you were saying, Matt, where, well, I like the first one. The second one was a big fall off. I hated Boba Fett. I'll wait till Andor's over till I stream it. That's kind of where a lot of people are landing on Star Wars. It's the apathy. I'll just wait till they'll wait for the binge situation. So you don't even gauge where the normies are, because they're not on the same timeline with us.
And that's where a franchise. That's when a franchise dies. Apathy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as far as me with Disney, I still have a Disney Plus subscription, because I love going back and watching the Daredevil, the Jessica Jones. I love going back and watching those. If Ahsoka tanks, and if they don't use the elements that are in play, then I'm done. I'm absolutely done, and I don't trust Dave. Dave cares more about his characters than he does Star Wars.
Before I get to you, Max, I knew you want to say something real quick, but to Jedi Bill, I really couldn't agree more, because I actually gave him a little bit of pass on the Han Solo thing, because I knew Han Solo wanted to die in Empire Strikes Back, and they kind of made him come back. So when I knew Harrison was coming back, I knew he was not going to survive. There was no way he was coming out of that film. He did not want to stick around for a bunch of new movies.
They give him a hero's death.
Yes, they could have.
Well,
but with Last Jedi, I came out of it with like a shell shock. I didn't even pan the movie. My first review was probably kind of okay, but I was like, I don't understand what's happening. But I felt like they were trying to steer in different directions, and I hung my hat on the idea that money matters, and they had a plan, which of course I've been proven completely wrong.
Yeah.
And let me say to Shelley Lee, who hopped in here. I think I got most other people. Stark of Iron hopped in here. ZBR, how you doing? All right, Andy. Got to have you on or do something with you sometime, Andy. Make sure. And Chris Burgess is pointing out exactly what everybody's saying too. Dave cares about Dave. Dave is the ultimate Hollywood suck up from everything I have read and heard. I don't know what we could believe or trust that would ever come out of Filoni camp. I just don't know. So, and guys, by the way, folks, I tried, if you remember, and I did not get you a link. It's a Restream link. I'm playing around with Restream, so let me know if you're having a problem. If you're in a back room and I don't see you, trust me, everything is just a little bit different, and I'm an old man, so it's easy that I could be messing something up. So please make sure you let me know.
What's up, Nas?
Yes.
Well, what's up, Nas? And Nas, you're definitely right there. This is unbridled here. Unbridled
sex appeal. Well, we got Joker, which obviously it's Chris Rudd and it's Paul Rudd in disguise. We're just gonna be honest. It's Joker Rudd. So we all know. So Matt, my friend, what were you gonna jump in with?
I'll go down the list real quick. Building on what you said about Harrison Ford, he hates doing sequels. That's why he started hate the Star Wars trilogy and Indy movie made him hate sequels. And that's why he only ever did one Jack Ryan movie. That's why he was only coming back for Indy 5 if they kill him off. So I'm not defending what she's doing in Indy 5, but he's being killed off because it's part of his deal, you know. Regards to a brief recommendation by when you're talking about watching a movie with your kids, Pops. Have you ever heard of Cartoon Saloon? They're an Irish animation studio. They just released their 5th movie.
Well, I didn't get to. Well, listen, I didn't even get to what we actually got them to watch. So you guys are ready for this? You want to talk about strap yourselves in? Pops actually almost cried. I found YouTube streams of hours and hours of Saturday morning cartoons, which I have found tons of commercials to use for my Saturday morning cartoon bit. So if you haven't been watching my Saturday morning cartoons, I've been tagging retro commercials in there.
I have seen.
Yes. Yeah. So little bit she got to watch Mighty Mouse. They were both watching the Three Musketeers from Banana Splits. They were watching all this stuff. They were falling in love with commercials. Like, hey, Pops, you could get me this thing hasn't been around for 30 years, right? They're watching these commercials for these products, right?
Hey, Pops.
The next day, wait a minute, wait, the next morning.
Okay.
What do you want to watch, baby? She says, Pops, can I watch Mighty Mouse? I almost cried. I was like, honey, you can have ice cream and cake for breakfast. What would you like? I mean, that was what they got as the dose, Matt. That may not be quite, I'll have to write down the website you're talking about so I can put that on my list of things to constantly consider. But yeah, that was what the old man did.
The Cartoon Saloon animation, it's both in terms of the writing quality and the animation, it's amazing. I'm not gonna kill the take up the whole stream with it. Just around the Cartoon Saloon. There's 5 movies so far. Okay.
I got to get to Shelley, who thought that I was not an old man. There it is. Are you talking to me or Joker? Because Joker's not old. Joker's still got some miles. Matt, I think Matt's got some miles.
Yeah, my mom is old. My mom is old.
Troy and I, though, we know where we're at. We know Troy and I have self-awareness. We're good.
Yep.
So, but I appreciate the love.
Just to sort of like conclude on this what went wrong with Disney thing. I mean, the reality is corporations are like mini governments. They lean towards authoritarianism, and because of that, they want locked-in audiences who just consume. So when the current board was dominated by left-leaning ESG Marxists, those types, they said we're gonna force this crap on our audience. They'll just consume because they'll be forced to consume because there'll be no alternative. There won't be anything about Disney Plus and Netflix, which shows all this woke stuff, right? But they didn't realize that with the internet and with other means, we don't have to just consume. You know,
Well, we'll consume what we want to consume. I talked to someone at work today. This is a normie that was saying something, and I said, "Well, you just switch services. They don't have Paramount." I said, "Listen, I'm not trying to promote anyone over the other. I'm just trying to direct you towards something good. Currently on Paramount, there is Tulsa King. There's all of Yellowstone, which I haven't even watched. There's Mayor of Kingstown that I love. There is The Offer. There is Maverick. There's tons of stuff that's good. Now, there's also garbage on there. I'm not going to lie to them and tell them there's not.
You know
but
what?
at least if you rotate around, you can get these shows. You can do your thing, get entertainment, then wait, either cancel it and get out of it, or just let it expire and go on to the next deal.
Yeah. And I was shocked by Picard season 3.
Everybody's liking it. Everybody's liking it.
I wasn't going to touch Kurt. I actually dropped the review for the first episode today. I had problems with it, but it was entertaining. But apparently, I found this out yesterday or the day before when I was doing my review. Basically, because they knew that Picard season 2 was the end of their contract, most of the showrunners who from the curtsy like screwed up approach don't even care about season 3. The one guy who was left to run it is an actual Star Trek fan, and he said, "I'm just going to do season 8 of Next Generation."
Yeah, I got you. Joker, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say I watched your video this morning, and I've with Sporking News, and when you mentioned Battle of the Planets, I just lit up like a little kid, and when the video was over, I'm like, okay, let's go to YouTube. And I just typed in Battle of the Planets. And it's got this one playlist of 129 full episodes. I'm just like, play all.
I know.
And
it's incredible. And it's all right there. That's the American versions. It's not the Japanese version. Right. So it's not the racier content, but it's totally clean for YouTube. It's totally great for kids. Get them
it has been and all day. It has been a lullaby to me. I've woken up and I'm happy. I take a nap and I'm happy. And I'm just like, this is just
and this is what we have to do. We have to continue to share. So I have another share that it saved me yesterday, because yesterday, again, I have all sorts of pitfalls and hurdles. I had a raging migraine yesterday. Had to leave work, was nauseous, the whole thing, right? I found an unedited, so there's one ad at the very beginning of this. It was 6 hours of Bob Ross. I was actually able to fall asleep. I was actually able to sleep. I got about an hour or so sleep in. My migraine was subdued enough that I could get back to making content, doing my stuff, things like that. So, So listen, there's stuff out there, and Shelly, thank you for the love. Thank you, lady. You're so sweet. I think that I couldn't believe that I've been able to find so many Saturday morning cartoon clips. I would have been able to find things like the Battle of the Planets. Tubi and Pluto have so much content.
Tubi's great.
It's incredible how much is on there. Yeah. Well, we watched. So again, by the time these kids went to bed, Mrs. Pops and I are off our schedule with them. So by the time we went to bed, we're exhausted. So we watched only Pluto TV. So we watched, I kid you not, Addams Family, Carol Burnett, Love Boat. It was like the OG stuff. Wow. If you're not off, it could just keep playing. It doesn't bother you. You know what I mean? It's like if you're not off, it's like, who cares? It's like just a show, right? And it was fun to have both nostalgia and also see storytelling from that long ago. It was really interesting.
Okay, so here's something. What was that? I was at work one day and someone turned to change the channel, and it was Game Show Network. Okay. You remember Match Game?
I love Match Game. I love Match Game.
Okay. This was hilarious because you got the celebrities there, and in the top right is Charles Nelson Riley,
yes.
And the middle of the bottom row is Richard Dawson. They're smoking the entire show.
Yes,
they got an ashtray on there. It's just
it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yes.
And I will say this. I would love for us to figure out a way to do a Match Game stream. That would be a freaking blast. Oh my gosh. I got to figure out how to get Loki on something like that, because he'd be a great host for something like that.
In the center square tonight.
I'm sorry. I'll be the square, the Hollywood Squares. I'll be Paul Lynn. People.
Yes, but Match Game was my jam. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I will watch reruns of Match Game. I actually I have a clip of Betty White dancing on Match Game that we
Yes.
used for our Talk Hard intro. That I was somehow able to get through the copyright stuff. You had to switch it around a little bit with the way she was spinning and stuff, but I don't think you can notice it too bad. But I was able to squeak it through. But yeah, no, I'm all down with all that kind of
Do
stuff.
you remember the
guys
Gong
know-
Show?
All this stuff. All this stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When I was a little
Card
kid,
sharks.
I got obsessed with the Unknown comic from the Gong Show when I was like 7 or something, and
I
ran
was him
around
for
with a bag
Halloween
on my head
1 year.
all the time for like a month.
Yeah.
I was him for
Yeah.
Halloween
Yeah.
1 year.
Nos, I couldn't agree more. We are really we call them the scissoring hens. So if you didn't know that was our term, there's a scissoring hen in the chat. There's an emoji for you members. Throw up your scissoring hens. Make sure everybody knows. That's what we call them. I dropped that in front of Mrs. Pop, so I got in trouble because the kids were in the car, but they did not hear that, so I didn't get in trouble. Because she asked if something I was watching was good. I said, no, it's obviously written by the scissoring hens. She said, you can't. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Probably shouldn't say that in front of the kids, but it just
You
comes
gotta have
out.
a pair
It's like
handy so you can say scissoring is when you cut up napkins.
No. Well, it said there's a scissor. There's a hen, or there's a giant chicken with a pair of scissors from Power Rangers, and that's what the
I
image
know.
comes
Yes.
from.
I know.
That's what the image comes from. So,
Yeah.
stress with all this packing. Yeah, ZBR, listen, man, you get settled. You do your thing, man. We'll be more than happy to figure out how to get it so it's connected.
So, Pops, you were mentioning the Carol Burnett show, and for
Yes.
for about a month or two,
God.
Netter and I were going through old episodes of Carol Burnett show. We were finding I think we were finding them on YouTube. Maybe it was another source, but I got to tell you guys, I had forgotten I forgot what it was
Hilarious.
like to laugh that hard at a
Yes.
piece of entertainment.
Mhm.
I did this as a kid. And I did it all different jokes as an adult, laughing so hard there were tears coming down my eyes. I couldn't breathe. If I'd have been on a stream, I would not have been able to talk.
I
I
agree.
just
The Gone with the Wind. The Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. You know,
Oh.
I think but all of them. It was the fact that it was live, and they were cracking each other up.
That's when it's the best.
Oh,
when
that-
they crack,
Novocaine,
that's the gold.
for
Yes.
example.
The dentist. Yes, the dentist. Tim Conway.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
I'm done.
But this
I
is-
am done at that
but
point.
this is what we have to do. We have to, chew on these vintage classics. So
Because there's nothing
before we
like
moved,
that now.
yeah, because before we moved, Mrs. Pops and I have no idea how I got on this press list because this was not a list I normally end up on. It was the theatrical screening of 5 episodes of I Love Lucy that were colorized.
Stop
People
it.
came dressed up as there was 50 Lucys in the house. It was off the chain fun. We had a
Yeah.
blast. I had all these mini posters, which I may still have these mini posters. We'll give them away if I can find them, and the boxes of stuff that's post move. And it was just, and I guess, yes, we bought the whole box set of Carol Burnett. We own, I just bought a new set of I Love Lucy's on Blu-ray or something. So yeah, it's just
Nice.
so again, on that note, check your big lots, check your secondhand stores for some of these DVDs and Blu-rays because the physical media is not the thing, and you're seeing stuff that's only a couple years old, like for $5. Like it's just not holding any price points anymore.
If you live in the suburbs, drive around and look for garage sales because when people die, they sell their Blu-ray and DVDs and comic books.
Like a buck. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'll give one more trip down memory lane here.
I have a
The Muppet
vast.
Show.
The
The Muppet
The Muppet
Show.
Show is the best. My kids can't get into the Muppet Show. I lost the kids, but I'm going to try again with the grandkids when they're a little bit older. My kids would never get in. They love the movie, and they can get into.
The Muppet Show was so great. The Mark Hamill episode, the Linda Carter
I
episode.
loved all of it. I loved so much of it.
I actually have the 2 banned episodes of the Muppet Show.
Ooh,
Pops.
we should stream those.
Ooh.
We should stream those on my channel. That's awesome. We'll do that, Matt.
So Pops,
Mhm.
dude. So which one are you, Statler or Waldorf?
Whichever
like to
one would
think
be
I'm
the
positive
butt of
there.
the joke most would probably be the best. Because I can handle it, like most people would know.
Right.
So I can handle being the butt of the joke. I'm okay. Yeah, no, I'm
I
good.
mean, I'm either or. It depends on the day. So
Hey, Pops, you got a
ZBR's
super chat there.
1 second. ZBR is saying that he's going to hold off and binge Picard 3. I think that's where I'm at too, because I have not watched season 1 or 2. Obviously, there's just trash out there. I'm not even going to waste my time. I've literally watched about 60 seconds of a Picard episode when the car hits him. That was a joke on Loki's show, so I really wanted to see the scene where the car actually hits him. That was the only scene I've watched. And then some love for Pluto because they have Thai kickboxing. How can you not love such extreme craziness and things like that? So, I lost Joker. Let me bring him back. Here we go.
Hey,
if you own
Ryan has to step out. Let's see. Yeah, I would draw football plays with a stick in the dirt if that counts. Yeah. So yeah, we would play football in the yard or whatever. We draw plays in the dirt. That's what you did. And my goal is to Hollywood Squares, the panel of 9, make the host and 2 members of the chat as contestants. Interesting. Yeah. There's some stuff to kind of sort out with some of that kind of stuff, or I would have already done it. Like I'd love to have like a call-in show, like you just open it up and let it go. And that kind of went sideways on me one time where I allowed some of that to happen. Yeah. So I'd be a little more careful with that. And then a big thank you to Shelly Lee throwing out a great super chat. I appreciate you so much. Carol Burnett, I just saw it in the window and I have to say, I also missed the show. Good time. Yes. Thank you, Shelly, for so much.
And I can see Harvey Korman look up the stairs and then look away laughing.
Yeah, he can't hold it together, and neither can I. I totally doubt it. So,
right, yes. and that's his name. And the best part was Harvey and Tim would intentionally try to get them to crack.
Wouldn't
they
you?
All did that.
Yes.
Yeah, wouldn't you? It would be like the ultimate of peeing contest, right? Is like who can get the other person to crack. I've done some improv and acting and theatrical stuff and whatever. And if you could get someone to break, and I'm the worst because I can't. I have too much ADD to basically even do stand up. I mean, to do anything like that because I can't keep my line straight. So, but I would be more than happy to mess everybody else up. So,
that's fun.
In ZBR, golf clap, my brother. Thank you for keeping us straight. I appreciate that. Good call. Yeah. And yes, Matt is definitely pushing the real estate grind. Yeah, you got to watch the sales, man. You got to be out there doing your thing. So,
yep. And that's what my biggest regret about being disabled. I can't do that right now.
Na says I am Hufflepuff because I love farming and gardening. I will not say Mrs. Pops is Hufflepuff. I'm probably something like Ravenclaw or something. I'm probably more like an aside. I'm not participating with all those holes. I don't game. So
I'm a Slytherin. So.
Yeah, but I don't want to be. That would be where I would belong, especially now that I'm old enough. Now I don't have to move around. I can just sit. I can just chill out, enjoy the show. Yeah. And Jokers point out the B horror movies over on Tubi, and obviously Ironcaster is a goat for Tubi. We keep telling him he needs to reach out for sponsorship and do a regular show. So
if you have a Roku, there are lots and lots of channels like Tubi and whatever that like you. They have, because apparently, I mean, from my own experience, not that the release is the public, but for my family, I have my own private Netflix, it's called, that my family watches all of our Blu-rays and whatever on that I stream for us. So apparently, it's very easy to step up from that if you license the content to put your own like Roku channel out there. From my understanding, so there are like hundreds of channels on Roku that have horror movies or science fiction or old TV shows or all sorts of stuff. So if you have a Roku, plow through all those channels they put out there. You might find some interesting stuff that's not, the mainstream garbage content.
Right. Now, Joker, you're still doing your weekly news updates. You're reviewing Mando. You're up to date on some of this stuff. I know you got to go here soon. So, what's some of the other stuff that you can plug before you tiptoe out the door for me, bro?
Like I said, just the Mondays are the last week's news. Now the Friday is the episode of Mando. For the time being, Wednesday is usually just whatever floats in down my head. I'm actually going to be over on Roman of the Empire in a couple hours. Matt, are you going to be there too as well?
I'm not scheduled to be a guest. I'll be in the chat, so if someone drops or whatever, I'm there.
Okay, cool. So we will be talking, because last week we talked about the 2 weeks ago we talked about the Alien films. Because there's really only 2, and tonight
that's being generous.
and tonight we're going to talk about the horrible sequels.
How everything went awry. Well, listen, folks, make sure you're subscribed to Joker Voice if you're not already, especially if you're watching this after the fact and you're not a member. We appreciate all your support. Joker's had my back this whole time. Appreciate your support, bud, making this so much fun and making this possible, man. Thank you so much.
And Pops, you and I will have to talk cartoons soon.
Oh no, I'm going to have to do. I think I'm going to do, because you guys have got such great feedback on all of that. So I may just do a recorded video like this and drop it on Saturday, because I do have, like, for members. If you're not a member, go over to the channel. I dropped the first one. I had Scott on from Sporking News. So we carved out a little time. We talked for a few minutes and we talk about his favorite cartoons. And I try to add a couple little snippets in there. I'm not going to do much editing. Let's just be honest. But I got another one coming up with Copa. Got a little snippet.
Oh yeah.
With Copa. Cool. So we did a little Copa snippet on one of his favorite things. That'll be kind of fun to throw that in there. So I'm going to drop the Sporking News one on Saturday in between the other two shows. So Batman will air at 9. Sporking will be at 9:15, and then Batman's at 9:30. There's only a couple minutes in between there because it's not timed out perfectly, but it's pretty close. That'll be kind of like, I can't do it probably every week, but it will be something that I do. And then in the meantime, I'm going to try to schedule maybe a pre-record or something like this where we can just talk about certain cartoons and get to, Herculoids and Thundar Barbarian. And,
yes,
just these really
Jr.
fun. Yeah. I couldn't believe watching Herculoids with the kids, because I looked at Mrs. Pops and I said, honey, they were just teaching the kids about gravity. Yeah. And she looked at me funny. I said, wait till the next episode. And they do the next episode. And it was like, look, they just taught to the kids about lying and whatever. I'm like, this is like a 7-minute cartoon from the 70s.
Yes.
It was like, she's like, I know, I miss it too. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. So,
all right, guys. Well, Pops, thank you for having me, Matt, Troy, always
bro.
Pleasure.
Take care, Joker. # keep talking, bro.
That's right. And always keep that smile on your face.
Absolutely.
Toodles.
Take care, buddy.
Good man, Mr. J.
That's awesome. Thanks to you. Glad he was able to come in here and hang out for so long. So, all right. Well, let's use that as our transition. Now, Troy, you have not watched Glass Onion.
I haven't watched anything he's done since Looper.
All right. Did you watch Glass Onion, Matt?
As soon as I saw Reed and Johnson was in, I avoided it. Sorry.
So I have to agree that was part of my, because I watched Knives Out with Mrs. Pop. She has a serious thing about mysteries and suspense and all that kind of stuff. So we saw Knives Out and it was fine. And it's been decreasingly entertaining ever since. Every time we watch it, I enjoy it significantly less, right? For different reasons.
Yeah, I kind of remember Knives Out. Similar type of idea. Yeah. I watched it once and didn't feel compelled to watch it again, but was okay watching it once.
Right. Compare that to like the Kenneth Branagh remakes of Agatha Christie's work, like the Murder on the Orient Express,
right,
which I've enjoyed in rewatches. Now, Death of the Nile, the problem with that one is the CGI was so rushed. You got all this pandemic stuff and things like that kind of messed up some of the stuff. So there's certain things that just were kind of messy in it, but I have to admit, it's still a pretty solid mystery story. Glass Onion is for morons. Glass Onion makes no sense. It's I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to do with how dumb this movie is. So I don't know if any of you guys don't want spoilers. You don't want to listen to me rant and rave about freaking Glass Onion, because this movie was so dumb. This movie is so on point with Rian Johnson's perspective of Elon Musk. The main character is it's the same. Daniel Craig plays the same allegedly genius, Louisiana detective. I really don't care. And they set this in the middle of the pandemic. So they're all wearing masks. And you have this Elon Musk character played by Edward Norton. And it's literally on point. Like, he's like a tech genius who has space program stuff. Everything is really on the nose. And he sends these mystery box, puzzle box things to different people. And you have different characters. And basically these characters are nothing but hanger-ons. Like the one is a politician that's basically he's helped finance. One of them is like a influencer that he's helped finance. These kinds of things, right? And he's inviting them all out to his private island for a murder mystery game night, right? That's what they're going to do. And I'm like, okay. I mean, the puzzle box parts were fine. And they deliver the puzzle box to the one girl, and it's played for a gag. This little black girl, and she just takes a hammer to it and punches it open. She doesn't try to solve the puzzles like everybody else did, right?
Yeah.
because they're kind of stupid people. They're not smart. 'Cause it takes a little while for them to get some of it figured out. Usually, I think they're on a conference call, and one of them knows one piece, one of them knows another piece. But individually, I'm not sure they would have been able to open it. She just used a hammer, and this goes along, and you get there, and they're all sort of in shock that the girl shows up, and and of course the detective, he's there too, but he's not allegedly invited. And then about an hour or so into the movie hits a place where she gets shot, the one guy gets killed, and you're like, what is happening? And then they cut to a flashback sequence, I kid you not, in a murder mystery film, where it is revealed that she's a twin and that she got the box who had gone to the sister, and she went to hire the detective to go and solve all this. And his scheme was to impersonate the sister in this adventure. Like, it was all part of his scheming to make all this happen. This movie, it derails into such a mess. There's so many issues with this film. I would have to do a watch through to try to contain my brain to sort it all out. It's so bad. I couldn't believe.
It sounds like a plot to a movie from years ago. I'm trying to
Murder
remember.
by Death was the closest one I could think of, where it's almost like the comedy is not there though. It's just like it's supposed to be like the person hosting the murder thing, but it turns sideways and whatever. Oh, it's just a mess.
Something about the twins and all that. I'm not going to remember for like days, but it'll eventually pop up. It's like,
well, Prestige is nuanced because if you watch Prestige again, you'll figure out some of the clues on why they're twins. Like, you figure out the Christian Bale piece. You'll figure out the pieces. This is not smart. Like, there's literally like the Hokey diary cheat code so that she can know how to behave like the sister, but it makes no sense because, the secret thing was never written in the diary. It was written on a napkin. It's just, there's just so many stupidity. It's insane. So
it seems like a cheat when they do stories like that, because if
if
you're going to do a mystery like that, part of it is if you missed all the clues, you want to be able to go back and watch it again and go, man, I missed all of this. If you watch it again and you go, well, no, you just made stuff up at the end,
It is definitely a vanity project and he thinks he's smart. Now, I said earlier, he's the king of deconstruction, and this movie proves it. Yeah. I kid you not. So the sister that's there with him, the one that's alive, is the one she's got a Southern accent, and she's pretending to be this hoity-toity, rich, Ivy school polished black girl. So she loses the accent when she's the best actor you can imagine to pull this off. So she doesn't know how to solve any of this stuff. But what she does is he's talking this through with her, and she literally writes and makes a comment about this is like Clue. and she draws a grid of the characters. I kid you not, on camera. And she starts checking boxes off. She, in essence, solves everything by using Clue, and the detective actually doesn't do anything. And there is no twist. It is the main character. Elon Musk's character is just dumb. And the detective just said, this is so dumb. This is the scene. So I didn't watch anyone's review. I have to admit, I went back and I watched a couple of reviews. I think Critical Drinker had one. There's someone else who had a great one too. And I was like, I at least felt I had some sort of sanity that I was the only one, not the only one who hated this movie. I could not stand it. This movie was nominated for a Golden Globe or something. I couldn't believe how bad this movie is. It is insanely bad.
Honestly, I'm almost at the point where if stuff is up for awards and whatnot, that probably is enough reason for me not to see it. That's just what these awards have become now.
Yeah, I've tried to watch most of them and kind of give a perspective on, I can say, well, Tar is a good movie. It's like an Oscar movie with a great performance and one great scene. But at best, it's a one-time watch. You know what I mean? It's like something like that. Whereas like The Menu, I actually enjoyed The Menu. I liked The Menu a lot. I was shocked that the Oscars snubbed it because it did win other awards. But the Oscars ignored it. So, yeah, I have.
Well, the Oscars is about art films. So whatever these people think is the most artistic film is what they're going to nominate for that crap.
Well, art is supposed to be a reflection of society, and honestly, I think that's pretty true. When you look at what constitutes art these days, and you look at what's happening to our society, yeah,
it kind of makes sense.
Just go back to when Lord of the Rings came out, the movies, right? Now, I am a Lord of the Rings book fan. I can pick those movies apart, but I still enjoyed them, right? Okay, Those three movies, objectively, every year they came out were the three best movies. then you can't even argue that, versus what they were up against. Yet it only won the Oscar for Return of the King as a sort of cumulative homage, And
all right, I want to get to Shelley's comment too. Well, first off, let me say farewell to Stark. Hey man, good do your thing, man. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out with us for so long. Hey Shelley, again, thank you for all the support. And the menu, I thought by looking at the poster and all the lead up was going to be an artsy foodie movie. That's how it was promoted and it was marketed. And then it popped up as something I can watch for free. I got my stuff, and I'm like, all right, let me give it a roll. And it is not. It is a suspenseful, entertaining twist and commentary on things. It is a really fun watch. I would love to hear you guys' take on it if you guys get a chance to watch Menu. I think it's on HBO Max. I can't always keep the services straight because I can just say I don't always watch them on services. But I would say that I would not say it's necessarily my top 5 film of last year. It would be in the conversation, definitely in top 10. Definitely in top 10. It was that good. I really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
It is on HBO Max.
Okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just, and I think it's one of those things too where some person I met didn't like it. And I asked, well, how were you watching it? Did you have the subtitles on? She's like, no, I was doing this in the kitchen and blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, you got to go back. You got to go back and watch it because you kind of have to watch how characters are reacting. And you have to make sure you get the dialogue when this chef is speaking because there's a lot of stuff in there. Let's just say that. It's actually a really good script. I was really shocked. I got to be honest. I couldn't believe it. So
honestly, that sentence you just said does more to sell it to me than I think any other marketing ever could. I am just starving for films that require you to watch them, not be in your phone and listen to it in the background, glance up while you're on Twitter or whatever. You actually have to watch it.
I agree. Padawannabe, let me know what you guys think when you watch them. Now let me know. Obviously, the best show on TV right now, in my opinion, is The Mayor of Kingstown. Mayor of Kingstown is so next level. Season 1 is so fantastic. Now, I don't think season 2 quite holds up. My review on that, actually, I can plug that for tomorrow morning. Yeah, so tomorrow at 10:15, do my Mayor of Kingstown season 2 breakdown. I have a guest on, Mad the Magnificence, if you know, over at Sporking News, and he's one of the regulars on there, the Mad Barber Entertainment. He'll be breaking down Mayor of Kingstown with me because he's the reason I found it. I would not have watched it if it hadn't been for him. So yeah, I really love season 1, and I will say this, Troy, if you do watch Mayor of Kingstown, it's on Paramount Plus. It will probably make you angry because you have more of that like libertarian anarchist bent like I do. And I kind of thought to myself, like, how corrupt is the freaking system? Like, how much of this is true? How much of this I actually was getting angry and frustrated?
I probably will not be surprised at all, to be honest with you.
So but it was also like so rich with, again, it's Taylor Sheridan, right? So it's like, this is the Yellowstone guys. There's ties to the guys that did Boardwalk Empire and stuff. So
I wonder if Kingstown is actually set in the Yellowstone universe.
I don't know. I haven't watched Yellowstone, so this is my problem. I didn't get into Yellowstone early, and I feel very intimidated when I'm looking at a show everyone loves, and there's like already like 3 seasons or something. That's kind of why I waited so long to get through Cobra Kai, because there was just so much hanging over my head. So I'm going to be getting into Yellowstone now. I think I've got enough of a clean slate because, let's be honest, I don't even care when I get to do a Mando review. Nobody cares. And then I'm doing a young adult show on Paramount called School Spirits, which I'm actually enjoying. But it's a young adult show, right? So it's not for everybody. But I find it like a nice, fun little show. So I may just start Yellowstone now because I have time to kind of fit that in.
You know what? I just I watched all but the last 2 episodes of Chernobyl.
Oh yeah, Chernobyl's great.
Was incredible. In fact, this Saturday I'm supposed to go over to a buddy's. We're going to watch the last 2 episodes. That was wow.
Yeah, I want to rewatch that because I want to do a video on it. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, Kingstown reminds me of the first 2 seasons of Son of Anarchy before Sons of Anarchy went off the rails after that. So
did you like Mayor of Kingstown?
I liked it a lot. That's what I'm saying.
I
thought the first 2 seasons of Son of Anarchy could have been the potential greatest TV show of all time, and then it just went off the rails after that. Kingstown has a potential to go off the rails,
yes.
And if they avoid that, and then okay, it could be a great TV show. Like, it's really good.
Well, check out my review and conversation with Mad tomorrow, and look at even if you listen to it in 1.5 speed or whatever to get through, because we do talk for almost an hour. Because I think we do touch on, and if you haven't seen it, Troy, don't watch it because we do get into spoilers. And I think that we touch on what you're saying, Matt.
This isn't made for you.
Matt, we do touch on like the concepts that easily could go and spiral off the rails. Like you can see where this storyline or that storyline could go badly. So, and Lord Thoth, we're talking about Mayor of Kingstown. We're talking about things that we like, but we first were talking about the menu. Now we're talking about Mayor of Kingstown.
Mm-hmm. By the way, another show which is only 2 seasons, which I guess in a way is good because it means they didn't ruin it. That just reminds me of was Breakout Kings. So if you've ever watched that on A&E a couple of years ago,
I never watched it.
Yeah, it was. Premise was there was a program with the U.S. Marshals where they would take certain federal criminals and offer them time of their sentences if they helped catch other criminals. And it was for 2 seasons. It was well done. But anyway, this Mayor of Kingstown kind of reminds me of that as well.
Okay.
I'm not going to say there isn't TV out there. I'm a Law and Order junkie, so I still watch all my Law and Order shows, even if I don't pay close attention to all of them. There's also such like I just did a review for The Rig, which is I don't know if it's just a standalone season or more than one. It's like a horror sci-fi TV show. There's stuff out there if you look around for it.
Yeah.
You just gotta. Or I still watch Blue Bloods. I mean, it's Tom Selleck and
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg. A real good show. Bridget Regan. She played John Wick's wife, Bridget Fonda. There's a great cast in there. So there's stuff to find out. Well, you know what? Don't always go back a year or two later if you passed on something and watch a trailer and read the summary and see. Like there's a movie called Love and Monsters from like 2020 or 2021, which I totally passed over. It sounded stupid. I watched the other day and I'm like, oh, this is a pretty good movie. Always take a second look at something a year later when you have a different perspective and see if maybe you were in a bad mood when you wrote off the first time. You gotta just to not, so you don't lose experiences that could be enjoyable for yourself. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying go back and force yourself to watch Mandalorian season 3 or whatever. No,
my recommendation list has gotten so extensively long, so I'm trying to figure out how to take chunks out of it at a time. But then I'm also trying to work through things I know that are good for like Throwback Thursday and stuff like that. So I'm doing the right stuff. I'm not going to do a Batman 89 video on like why Batman was such a big deal. Like I don't think, and you guys lived through this with me, so you guys know like we didn't have Batman since 66. So this was like a big deal. We didn't have superhero stuff really since 78. We had some stuff, but I'm talking about like something really big. And yeah, this movie is a mess. It has a lot of Batman nitpicking that someone like me could do, but it also just hit all of the moments and all the pressure points you want as a fan. And so I'm going to do a little tribute to that. So,
you know what I also just found? I mean, like mind those foreign gems. I found a Korean film called The Witch, and there's a part 2 of it that I have to watch.
Well, I've heard that's great.
Yeah. I was shocked. Like I'm a big horror movie and science fiction fan, right? So I will watch C-grade science fiction films just to find that off, even if it's a one scene in there that's awesome, just because it's my and I was like, oh, this popped up on where I get my movies from, and it was like, and I watched it. And I was like, it started slow, but after it started, I couldn't turn myself away. And it's on the list of films I won't tell you too much about, like The Usual Suspects, because there are twists in it that you can't tell a person for the first time they watch. You just can't.
Yeah, Lord Thoth. This was that movie is like a special movie to me. And I actually thought about inviting Troy to do a breakdown with me, but I couldn't wait. I just wanted to get it off my to-do list because I wanted to watch it again. And it's because when it hit, it was a box office disaster, by the way. Did not make any money. And I didn't see it in the theater. I saw when it dropped on VHS, and I remember watching it and then starting it over and watching it again. I was so hooked on the immersion of the space program stuff at the time. There was not anything like it. I know there's a ton of creative liberties and things that they derail from. But it changed me into such a fan of space travel and things like that. I was already into that stuff. Obviously, I love sci-fi, but there was something very special about understanding better what actually happened in the space program.
Yeah. See, that's why I didn't like the right stuff, because since I was a little kid, I was reading the space program stuff and the science and all that. So whenever a movie comes out that's like, if they had said this is a science fiction like type thing, like a current era science fiction film, like, meaning fictitious for events, I would be okay with it. But they were purporting it was like a biographical in a sense, and having read the stuff and watched the news clippings, and that to me was like I couldn't deal with it.
See, I didn't get that until later, so I guess it didn't break. I didn't get that sort of that much information until later in life. Like that's why I didn't care for that the film that just came out a few years ago called The First Man, the Neil Armstrong film. I completely hated this film because I read the book. Yeah. And there was so much more richness and entertaining elements that were in there that they didn't even try to do, because he just wanted to do all these camera tricks that he was enthralled with doing. And I hated this movie. I really couldn't stand it.
Well, I have to qualify though. I probably should go back and rewatch The Right Stuff at some point, because I work in IT and computers and stuff since I was a little kid, right? But I only learned really in like I'm going to say in my 30s and early 30s that how to like, when I see something in a TV show or a movie or whatever with computers, and I know it's nonsense. It wasn't until my early 30s that I could look past that. Like unless it was science fiction or whatever, but in something that's modern era where the computers work like we have a computer or whatever, and I would see a character randomly typing hundreds of characters and say, "Oh, I found them in the database." And I look at that and I would click the episode off right then and there up until my early 30s.
I got
now,
you.
So maybe with The Right Stuff, I can go back and look at it, and now I have a perspective. I can, say, can I look past the changes they made? You know what I mean?
Like, I don't think it was as common back then to put based on a true story or inspired. They didn't put those kind of disclaimers on the older films that they do now. Like it was almost like it was just sort of like, well, it's Hollywood, right? You don't know what, that kind of stuff. So for me, and I have to admit, I really dig in from the time the Mercury 7 are being experimented on forward. Like, I mean, no offense to Chuck Yeager and all that, but it's just like I don't care as much about that portion of the film. I care about like the experiments that they went under, and then the PR and how all that kind of plays out and the sequences and stuff. So,
yeah.
But yeah, anyway, again, nostalgia love. I'd share my nostalgia love.
Oh, yeah.
So, Troy, you mentioned the wrapping up Chernobyl. What else are you chewing on that's good?
Honestly, I have to keep telling people, the entertainment that I've been consuming the most is really lately YouTube. It's, all of you guys in the chat and you guys in the panel and people that I hang out with here is what it really has gotten to be. Because I don't really enjoy what's being put out by most of the entertainment industry. It's positive and also a little depressing when you go back to what you said earlier. We have to go back 20, 30 years to find good entertainment,
Yeah, when I did The Big Short as my Thursday film, I was like, I feel like I didn't go back very far. And I know it's not a complete or it almost is incomplete with talking about the financial crisis in that movie, but I felt like it's still such a great film, and it sort of at least gets people from normie status to some awareness, and that's why I like the film. Someone put a comment in chat, which I don't think I've gotten to respond to, and they're it's very, very valid, that The Big Short is a lie because it basically lets the government off the hook, because the government had done all these different elements, and that contributed to the housing crisis. But I don't think it paints the government as a good guy. There's several comments and things that happen all the time. Like, everyone's going to be let off the hook. The government's going to bail everybody out. Blah, 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 blah. No one's going to jail. Like it.
Right.
So I think that's kind of part of some of these shows where there are some within 5 years ago or so. But yeah, you usually have to go back at least 10, 15. And then once you get into like the sweet spots of the 80s and stuff like that, you end up with like so many that you can barely get through. Like, did you guys know, like I on my list, Soylent Green turned 50 this year.
Yep.
That's painful. Like, wow.
You guys just reminded me, and I have to go back to my playhistory and find it. I found a Canadian TV show, science fiction show from the 70s, which I remembered from watching as a kid on like PBS in the early 80s. Obviously, it was American. and I couldn't remember. I had images of it, and it popped up on my recommendation list randomly about a week and a half ago, and I bookmarked it somewhere. And now I got about, but then I forgot about it. So I have to go and hunt down that bookmark so I could watch it. You know what I mean? Like out of nowhere, like YouTube recommendations did me a solid. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Troy. I totally agree. Like, I do a lot of that myself. So I've tried to figure that out with, again, this is why Ryan teases me so much about listening to everybody at 1.5 to 2 speed, because, when I am listening to YouTube, at least I have that as an option.
I did that. Well, I do that when I have a lot of things in my to watch later, and Netter will be sitting there listening with me every now and again. And usually it's on like if I got like a Midnight's Edge video on or something like that, and they'll go through a little funny rift or whatever, and Netter will just burst out laughing because like Tom is doing some crazy voice, but it's sped up to double speed and high
pitch, funny.
and she just starts laughing so hard.
Yeah, that's awesome. Shelly's agreeing with us too. Shelly's like, she's all in on YouTube, is kind of taking over. Yeah, we understand. We do, really. So.
In fact, well, I mean, if you don't mind me taking an opportunity to make a shameless plug here, we do a lot of watch parties on my channel and Netter's channel and Big Al's channel, and this Friday, tomorrow actually, first of a 2-part that I'm doing with Big Al Presents. Going back to 1964, Eddie Wilson had it all. He had genius. He had vision. He had the hottest rock and roll band in the country.
Oh, wow.
And suddenly one night, his car went off a dark New Jersey bridge. His body was never found, but his dream was never lost. And 20 years later, the mystery of Eddie Wilson begins to unravel. We will be watching Eddie and the Cruisers.
Eddie and the Cruisers. Yeah.
And then
Tom Berenger, right?
Absolutely, yes, okay. Absolutely, and Michael Pare, and then Saturday night over on Big Al's, the second part of that, kind of a spoiler for the first movie, Eddie and the Cruisers 2, Eddie Lives.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are and why do I do the films that I do? I do the films that I do because I'm an old fart, and I'm trying to introduce a younger generation to movies that they may never have even heard of, that were for people of a certain age that grew up in the early days of cable TV. We saw these movies on repeat. And you'll always hear some commentary saying, well, this movie became such a big cult classic, but it didn't do well when it was originally released. Exactly. A lot of these movies were really good. They weren't marketed very well. They had limited distribution. And then they hit cable. Cable could license them for very little money, and they played them over and over and over again. So people saw them, loved them, and, have carried that with them since. That's how this happens.
Because you think about the fact that, we've have because I mean, obviously once cinema got to, Wizard of Oz and whatever, you're talking about like almost 85 years of entertainment, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like such a massive sea of stuff. People don't know what to do, and they're on these streaming services. I would tell you that most people are probably just looking at what the thing recommends them, what the buzz is, what the top 10 is. These are the kind of things they do. And I think it's part of our responsibility, at least that's part of my focus for sure, is to do exactly what you're saying, Troy. And that's why I did the Throwback Thursday. That's kind of why I did Saturday morning cartoons. It started as me just therapy. But now it's like, wait a minute, there's been such a crazy response of, man, I haven't thought about this. Oh, I haven't thought about that. I'm like, oh, wow, this is really something special. And I'm not taking this as like I'm doing something special. It's just like I've found the nerve of us coming together and sharing an element of that nostalgia that's kind of fallen through the crack.
And this, and the way these platforms recommend things, sometimes all it takes is just getting you out of your comfort zone. If you can't watch with me on Friday when I share the link to watch along with me, maybe you come along the next day or the day after and go, oh, well, it's on Tubi. Let me watch it on Tubi. Now, Tubi is going to start recommending a bunch of these similar types of films from the 80s. Maybe you'll get Streets of Fire, or maybe you'll get, I don't know.
The Outsiders and stuff like that. Yeah, no,
The Outsiders.
we were on
sure.
Netflix and we were just scrolling through the app, and she says, "Why on earth is there all this Korean?" And honey, I said, "What do you think I'm watching? I'm watching good films.
Yeah.
I'm watching good stuff." So there's all these Indian films and Korean films and all stuff sprinkled in. I'm like, yeah, I'm watching good stuff. I'm not watching their crap on their top 10. I could care less about their top 10. The only reason I watch Glass Onion is because you people made me. I didn't want to watch this movie. I was good skipping it. I avoided it most of the time.
People made me, and I'm never gonna
they did make me. I paused it several times. I'm like, this is so dumb. She's like, just play the movie. And it got to the twin moment, and I paused it and said, I have to go get a snack. And fortunately, when it got really, really done, which I didn't even get into all the spoilers. Again, I'd have to do a complete watch through of how bad this movie gets. They were already checked out. They saw the stupidity for what it was. It couldn't be held. It couldn't be hidden from everybody forever.
See, and if someone were to try to get me to watch Glass Onion, I would say I would rather chew 40-year-old bubble gum.
Ooh, we're gonna hold you to that. Be careful now. That's a Padawan challenge. Hear what they're saying there, Chris? They're throwing out you're throwing out your language there, man. They're all calling it. We're up to 4, and I've got Arwen coming. So Troy. Never know.
Netter said she'd do it too.
I know, it's great. I got to figure out
I
how
don't
to get
think
her
you
on.
can actually chew 40-year-old bubble gum. I think it's too.
It actually kind of disintegrates. It just kind of dissolves.
Have you done it yourself, Pops?
Yeah, I did the black hole gum.
Okay.
That's the oldest one that I had was the black hole gum. It's from 79. And
I opened the Topps baseball pack a couple of years ago from like 1982.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was what I started with. And I didn't eat it, but I popped it on the air. You could hear it snapping.
The gum was like as solid as steel.
Yeah.
Well, it started out. It was almost the same texture as the cardboard cards.
Look at this. This Padawanabe's talking smack. He knows. He's the boss, man. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, he did not tell us he was going to chew the gum. He just told us he was going to come on and open the pack. So whenever he did that, we were all like just blown away. Like, what on earth is happening right now? And everyone is just like totally shocked. Like, holy cow, I cannot believe this is happening. And then it was kind of like Ironcaster had gotten a pack of cards as well, and they kind of played like, I don't want to say guilty, but they kind of a little peer pressure, and he chased it with the Taco Bell sauce, and that's kind of where things stood for a while. And you could see his face just cringing of how bad all that is. And then I think it was on a stream, and I said, well, if I open this pack, I will try to chew the gum, and I got through it. So, but yeah, Daryl won up to everybody by doing 2 sticks. So. But yeah, even Netter. I know, Chris. Can you believe this? It's insane. Yeah. We're gonna
seriously brave. Well, she is seriously brave. She, a little over 30 years ago, she said, "I do." That's bravery.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, you try to get the snap in there. Yeah. You have to pop it right at the mic, but it will definitely do it. So, but yeah, no, it's been. I don't think things sunk in with some of the nostalgia stuff for me until the Saturday morning cartoon thing. Like, I know I keep going back to this, but I think that's when I started hearing from people publicly and privately, like, you're making me want to watch it again. Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't know this was 30 years old, and now I'm doing commercials and stuff, and it's the same thing. And it's like, people, we're caught up in the moment. We're caught up in the things we're reviewing and talking about. We're caught up in our streams. We're caught up with what's on YouTube or whatever the case may be. And I literally love and look forward to doing this. Like I said, last week was a little rough to have my week all discombobulated, but you don't have regrets. You just kind of keep moving.
And you mentioned the grandkids watching some of these commercials and then wanting some of the things they see in these commercials. I don't know what kind of toys they would be into, but I can tell you this from seeing old commercials and whatnot and looking back at toy commercials from like the 70s and 80s and then looking at the toys we have available to us today. Very big change in what kind of toys are available. And it's kind of sad. I mean, you try to find a play set, let alone a vehicle, for your action figures. It's heck, and don't even talk to me about the scale. Oh, sure, it's easier to do play sets and vehicles for 3 3/4 inch action figures, but everything is 6 inch these days. G.I. Joe, people. G.I. Joe was a 12-inch figure. He had Jeeps. He had action packs. He had all kinds of accessories. So don't give me that.
Well, the original Transformers were all die-cast metal.
That's right.
Yeah, they were so amazing, and they were. I couldn't believe how cool they were. I wish I had somebody would have been able to tell me, like, why don't we just set this one aside, treat it like a model, you know what I mean, instead of destroying it.
I preserved my Transformers. I only had like 10 of them because they were expensive. We were poor back then. But then they went to my the younger grandkids because my mom was like, "You don't need toys anymore." I was like, can you terminate your mother? Like as a 10-year-old, I was thinking.
She threw away she took all of my sports cards, put them in a trash bag, and that's all I have to say about that. I mean, I don't want to forget about the comic book collection, the sports card collection.
The fan slogan for G.I. Joe was "Old soldiers never die." Your mother threw them away.
My grandmother purchased the first couple of hundred issues up to of Action Comics, and Superman, and her mother just kept throwing them away.
That's incredible.
And eventually, she told her mother in like the early 60s before she died, and she had duplicates of some issues because had you not thrown these away, we could be millionaires right now.
Shelly's got to dip out. Thanks again, Shelly, for your generous super chat and all your support and love. I know she's given memberships before. She's just been a great supporter of mine. Thank you so much for everything, Shelly. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, later, Shelly.
Chris, just wait till I start getting into like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. How many 80s kids? Well, trust me, they've been blowing it up, Chris. Everyone's like talking about He-Man and Transformers and G.I. Joe, stuff that we've already been talking about. But, they're all wanting, you're doing Batman. Are you going to do Superman? Are you going to do Justice League? Are you going to, it's just like there's so many things to tap into.
And Chris,
and Steve is pointing out, by the way, Roman is going to start here in about an hour and a half or so. So yeah, make sure you kind of have your get yourself ready for Alien sequels talk, not the first two. So
let me tell you, if Chris Pursa, if the kids are getting into Spider-Man, His Amazing Friends, all that kind of stuff, let me tell you something. Those of us that remember the 70s, the Mego figures, Mego did all of the both Marvel and DC superheroes, and now the fans are doing the best work, and they're putting out custom figures of everything. And if you're interested in the Mego versions of Iceman, Firestar, and Spider-Man, World's Finest Toys on the internet does custom Mego figures. If you want that little hit of nostalgia.
That's awesome to know.
I just called it up to because we're talking about it in my Plex server, my animated series. So I've been trying to collect all the old anime and animated stuff from when I was a kid that I really loved. I'm just reading off the list here. This is the Adventures of the Galaxy Rangers. That's from the 80s. Centurions from the 80s. Captain Scarlet and the Mysterians from the late 60s. I can go. There's like 100 of them in here. Black Star from the 80s, which had an American Indian main character, right? War we diverse or what back in the day, right?
Well, I cannot go without mentioning Apache Chief, man. He's the
Apache Chief. He was my second favorite super friend after Superman.
Yeah, Black Lightning. I mean, we had all this stuff.
Now his Mego figure you can get from Figures Toy Company.
So this is how OG it got with the kids. This is one of the commercial breaks that I ripped out of it.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
I remember that.
They giggled themselves so silly because what is happening to this? What happened, Pops? I'm like, yeah, it's just so silly. And then I did this one because I was cheating. Obviously, I got the little girl going. I had to keep her going.
There's a special kind of love no one can match. You'll find it in the Cabbage Patch. Cabbage Patch Kids, a special kind of love.
Yeah.
Then you follow that up with the news footage of the parents beating the crud out of each other, trying to get those for Christmas.
Oh, it was so fun. I had a blast. I couldn't believe how many hours of this stuff. And like I said, I just YouTubed searched. I don't even know what the appropriate verb is nowadays, but the Bob Ross thing. And it was like a 6-hour clip with only one ad in the front. It said like no other ads or whatever. And I'm like, this is perfect. And I just listened to that stuff playing in the background. Eventually I was able to sleep. So, Chris is also saying he got Quantum Leap and Thundercats taking you back. Yeah. 2 great shows.
Yeah.
Great shows. G.I. Joe, Transformers. That's the way to go, man. That's the way to go. Absolutely.
I gotta tell you, Quantum Leap. I have not watched a single episode of that new show.
It's garbage.
I'm not watching the new show.
It's complete garbage.
Yeah, I'm not watching the new show. It's kind of like the new Willow. I refuse. I'm not even participating with that. I can't even do it. So, yeah, my Transformers were in the dirt, man. I could not even remotely pretend. So, 3 Cabbage Patch dolls behind you. Holy cow! Wow. Okay.
You could be a millionaire if they're originals.
Yeah, it depends on what you got on their butts, man. You gotta, sadly, it's kind of a weird thing to have to say out loud these days, but yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to check the drawers. So listen, guys, it's been a lot of fun doing this member stuff. I don't know exactly kind of like what goes forward. I kind of have my little routine or things like that, but do you guys have do you think that the value in a lot of ways is, don't get too caught up with any one side of the coin, like the new stuff versus the old stuff? That's kind of where I'm at on things. I try not to get too caught on one side or the other.
Well, what I said like 20 minutes ago was, if you pass over something, right, give yourself a chance a year or two later just to look it over again, just to make sure you really legitimately should have passed it over. Like don't, because you do, like I said with that Love and Monsters movie or whatever. There's other stuff like that I could talk about, but I found there is some good stuff. I mean, like I mentioned Cartoon Saloon before. I've been avoiding animation for years because I thought it was all Disneyfied Pixar crap, and I was just avoiding it. But then I found Cartoon Saloon. I'm like, oh, there's still good stuff out there. I went and found some more. You can find good stuff if you look, or get some recommendations. I really should review those movies because not a lot of people talk about them, and but I guess that's what it comes down to, right? You find a group of people whose recommendations you trust or are willing to listen to, and we can put the content out there. And
and that's what I've tried to do. I've tried to be as consistent as I've always been with how I approach everything, how I talk about things. I usually try to add qualifiers on, this might be for this person. So, like, let's face it, I thought DC Super Pets thing, I couldn't get past the voice cast. They had Dwayne The Rock and they had Kevin Hart, and the voices just didn't work. They were just the voices. I could not enjoy this film because of that. Even though the little story was okay, it wasn't bad. It was just fine. Compare that to Puss in Boots. I thought Puss in Boots was freaking great. What a great animated film. I was so shocked because when this had come out and stuff like that, we just kind of like, all right, I'm kind of over some of this. The only reason we saw the Minions in theaters because one of the little bits wanted to go see it, and it was her first big theater movie. And we have like an old, I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about this, because I moved to the woods, but I can go in town, and there are 2 giant mega Googleplexes, like the Megaplex, the 20 theater places, right? But there's one OG place, and it was shut down well in the pandemic to the point where I was like, I wonder if I could buy this place. My wife, of course, is looking at me like I'm crazy. But it is OG, like the rusty flip up type seats that have now been like recovered, but they're still really old. It's got, the concrete floors, the old style poster boxes. I mean, it is old. And that's where we took her. So we gave her like the first theatrical experience like a kid should have, in my opinion. Give them like the OG reference. And she talks about it to this day, how much she loved doing it. So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. What do we got here? Original CPKs, tramp stamp. Yeah. So I'm watching the show. This is a hard thing to do because I try to also blend. Like I'm only gonna do like 1 or 2 Indian films a month because I don't want to become like the Indian Cinema Channel. I'm also trying to mix in other things, not because I'm trying to reach a different audience, but I'm trying to give things a fair shot. I think this little show on Paramount called School Spirits is an interesting little show. It involves a girl who's been killed. Because she got killed on school grounds, they're stuck on school grounds. She's in like a purgatory, and she's trying to solve.
That sounds more like hell to me, but okay.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's kind of the premise of the show. It's like, well, could you imagine how bad it would be being stuck there, right? And she's surrounded with other ghosts who were killed in different decades. So there's a kid from the 80s, a kid from the 90s. There's we just met the hippie ghost, who's like a cool flaky girl. So you have this murder mystery stuff, but it's written for like YA audience. There's a few F-bombs. I don't know why. We didn't need them. People don't really talk like this, especially, in the context of how it's being presented. But it's the girl from Cobra Kai, so she does a pretty good job. And it's like this little murder mystery thing, but kind of like the Law and Order thing. Like there's obviously a formula. Like if you're the suspect pretty early on, you're really not the suspect.
Yeah.
You're not really going to be.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it's been. It's like we've gone through this character being the suspect. Now we're going through this character, the suspect. It kind of keeps moving. We haven't really got there. But it's fine. It's okay. I don't think it's quite as good as Wednesday, but it's in that same caliber of type show. So I'll probably do a review on that and get that posted for Monday or Tuesday or something. But it's kind of hard to, like you said, Matt, there's so many things to choose from. It's kind of like, I also kind of like figure out how do I manage my time. I'm also trying to read comic books and talk about those sometimes, things like that. So
my reading list of books new books to read and books to reread is now so long that even if I live to 80, I will never catch up.
Yeah, there's a lot of that for me as well. Like I'm using this channel as like my one-offs. When I'm doing certain things, the odds are very low that I will revisit something unless it's literally like top tier. We just did this. So I've actually been on a channel. I was on Roman's channel talking comic books. And then I did a special recording for his comic book talk about Kingdom Come and Marvels and Earth X. So I've done this stuff like twice now, basically in some way or shape or form. So I'm like, I'm not going to go back to these anytime soon. Not that I don't love and respect them, but it's just like, there's only so many hours in the day in the life. And there are other things to get to. So I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah. And there's not a lot of great new comic books. I'm getting ready to read a new Exo Manowar comic book, brand out. I thought the art was super cool. So I wanted to give it a shot just based on that. But I will admit the new Superman by Joshua Williamson was pretty good. Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
I've heard some good things about it. I'm still not ready to go back
to... Just hang tight. Let's see how it goes, because they got me on Batman they got me on Batman 125, but by the time we got to 130, it turned into a debacle. So, I'll hang. You just give me a chance to. I'll go through it a little bit for you, so you don't have to, because that train could jump off the tracks easily. I can definitely aware of their track record.
Yeah. I keep hoping that Warner Discovery really wants money and will sell off DC to someone who cares. Yeah.
I have no idea why they're not doing a licensing gig. Like that I've said this all along. I have no idea why they're not. Now I can understand why they would not license out Batman or Superman or a few things, but everything else should kind of be on the conversation. Like there's no reason to believe that you can't get people that would pay to do, mini series and things like. I always go back to Hellboy. Hellboy has this track record, not of doing stories in some sort of numerical order, but in these little sub stories, right? So there's no reason that you shouldn't just be licensing all these things out for someone to do a Green Lantern story or do a Booster Golds or whatever they want to do. Just license it out, make money. I think that's ultimately what's going to happen with all of this content. It just can't keep going where people are fronting their own cash. They're just not going to do it.
Well, as long as they keep making money, they would do that. But now what Disney is realizing is they're not making the money to do that, and they're panicking. So like Disney's master plan was, we'll own all this content, we'll sell all sorts of lunch boxes and underoos and whatever as a side, and we can then fund all our movies, which will make us cads of money. We'll be rolling in the dough, so to speak, in our own money bin. To use their Disney analogy.
Lord Thoth, thanks for hanging out with us, brother. Thank you so much. And how to Wannabe, I totally understand the addiction. Like that was kind of, I've said it before, I never graded any of my comics. And during the pandemic, things got a little wacky and I went through a ton of stuff. I decided to get some stuff graded and kind of move some stuff. And it kind of gave me the bug. And that's kind of what, got me to move towards doing Pops exclusively, because it was like, I got the bug again. I got the bug. So. Top Gear, have you been watching Clarkson's Farm? No, I haven't. Is Clarkson's Farm that good? You guys ever recommend Clarkson Farm? You guys know what we're talking about?
I know of it. He's the guy who was fired from Top Gear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I would watch Top Gear once in a while. It's not my type of show per se, He's and so I remember watching Clarkson. He had a show after that, but I don't know if that was Clarkson's Farm or not.
Okay. No, I haven't watched it. I got to be honest. I just can't juggle so many things. So unless it comes pretty recommended, Chris, just haven't gotten to it. So I will have to kind of throw that in the on the list.
That was an early example of cancellation too, him being fired.
Right. Right. Yeah, stuff gets really wacky too when you start learning some of the backstory to some of these things. Like that goes, oh man, Anonymous, I hope you haven't been waiting too long, brother. I'm so sorry. This restream thing is a little weird. It's not like StreamYard where it lets you see them easily. It's on the left side. So hopefully you haven't been waiting long. How you doing, brother?
It's been a half an hour, man. I've been sitting.
Has it really? Holy crap! I am so sorry.
I'm teasing, dude. No.
Okay, thank goodness.
Like a couple minutes.
Okay, that's a relief. Yeah, so good, man. What's going on?
None. I just got home, and I know you started this early, and I got usually pretty busy before I get home, so I just come on for a little bit and say hey and hi everybody, and
greetings,
and, make my presence known and say hail to Pops, and
well, I'm glad you did. I start early just because I get home and rush and get right to it, so I can go as long as I can. I know most of some of the other stuff starts around 8 o'clock, so that way I can get it. I can get in plenty of time for people to kind of come and go before some of those other shows and stuff like they get crazy.
Yeah,
but no, man, it's been great to have you. Thanks for hopping in. And Padawannabe is throwing some more love towards Clarkson Farms, so I guess we're getting some other folks that are at least enjoying it. So that's that's good.
Actually, you want some news, Pops? Did you read? I don't know if you're a fan of Rick and Morty. But did you the creator of Rick and Morty that was canceled for all those accusations? Turns out they're all false. I hope he sues everyone for $1 billion.
I just saw that.
Yeah, I think that this is the only way some of this stuff will stop if they actually just start, suing, defamation cases and things like that. Just they have to just hit them back. You can't just take it. Yeah, I agree. So Anonymous, man, what's going on? What have you been up to these days? What are you enjoying?
Can you hear me now? Ooh,
I do. I can't hear you.
Okay. Well, I've been buying all kinds of physical media. That's my
good
right now.
With you.
A lot of good used Blu-ray movies. Stuff I didn't have, stuff I had on DVD that I wanted on high def. So it's been a ride, I think.
Yeah, I actually just went to because on my list of things to watch this year is Excalibur from 1981. Excalibur,
good one.
And my
I looked that up too.
My physical copy wasn't working, so I found one for $1 at a thrift store.
Really?
Wow!
Yeah, for $1. Yeah, and I was like,
you want
to work or not
for that?
I'll take it. Sure, there's tons of great trivia about that movie.
Well, not a people know this one. So in the 60s, when Tolkien first licensed out the Lord of the Rings rights, they were trying to make a movie for about 10 years. They made sets, they made armor, they made all sorts of stuff, but it collapsed, right? So then the guy comes in to make Excalibur, and they reviews all the stuff they were going to make for the Lord of the Rings film they were trying to make in the 60s and early 70s.
Interesting.
So that's what it would have looked like,
Padawannabe, I'm well aware of the song. I do not have, even if I were to have it, I don't have it loaded. So, dun, 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 Anonymous.
Oh, no. That thing would follow me everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Yes. I do know.
Mike.
I like that.
I know. I'm well connected to
Pops' brief little ditty gets him copyright struck.
Oh, I don't mind. I will gladly mute that if I have to, or clip it, whatever. We'll see. I'll fight. I don't think I've really lost anything. I will say that I have had to clip a couple times where something ran for like 13 seconds or something because if you have a connection pause at all, it won't pause fast enough. They will get you. So you really have to go that 9 seconds is probably your max, but 11 is probably the window. It depends on who it is and what you're doing. So music is worse than the content. So
the thing about that tune though is you could very easily, whatever graphics you're using for it, just put up the words Anonymous do,
yep.
and people are gonna have that tune in their
absolutely
head. Of course.
Yep.
You already hear it.
Yep.
And I haven't had too much luck, Matt. I mean, I make modifications to things where I make things in black and white. Put a graphic over it, things like that.
I've won almost every appeal I've ever had to do, like 10 of them, 12 of them so far. And a couple I haven't, I've left standing because I'm not monetized. I don't care if they take my non-existent money. And if it ever comes back up around again a year later, then I'll just keep fighting the process because I've never violated the copyright. I've obeyed fair use rules every single time. So.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's very, very frustrating to have them do these things, even though that you're following the rules. That's when I get really angry because I know that I know what the rules are, So I'll take it whenever we've messed up. You know what I mean? Like we didn't hit pause or something like that. But yeah, some of the stuff's just been so bogus. It's I can't handle it. I get so frustrated.
I'm sure live streams are a lot worse on that sort of thing and hard to manage.
You don't because you don't know you're getting hit. You don't usually get hit in real time. You usually get hit the next day.
Yeah. That thing about pausing all, that's not protecting you from the law. You're protected already. That's trying to avoid the algorithm hitting you. The actual rule is you can play like 5 straight minutes or something as long as you're talking over it and remaking it into other content. And the problem is the computer program that Google has searching for all this stuff doesn't acknowledge that. So as soon as they hit 10 seconds or something, that's when the computer hits you with a copyright strike on behalf of the content owner, and then shoots an email saying, here's some content of yours, blah, blah, blah. And then when you appeal it, if the people don't answer that email within 30 days, you automatically get on blah. Like
that's correct.
So.
And they purposely will wait 30 days. So yeah, Paramount did it to us for Halo. Every single Halo video, they copyright flag something, and they just wait 30 days to respond. Disney did it a couple times, Marvel, Disney, stuff like that. So, but I got this through. You guys, I don't know if you've seen this or not. I got this through. Just chopped it up, changed the mix, found some remixes and got permission to use the remixes. And yeah, we'll see. I think they'll flag it eventually, but for now we're going to let her fly. So
aren't they making an abominable sequel to that, like X-Men 97?
I don't want to talk about it. I can't. I've had 5 messages about X-Men and probably about 3 about the Batman stuff. And I'm like, I don't think I can emotionally handle talking about how bad I think this stuff is.
To those listening, don't watch it. It's going to be an abominable. It's going to be an abomination. Don't watch it.
Well, I will be watching it and reviewing it, but I already looked up who the main writer is. They keep quoting his Bo something, and I'm like, it just not gonna. And I also don't think they announced the new announcement is, we're talking about X-Men 97. It's supposed to take place right after 96. The mutants have been kind of accepted in society or whatever. And quote, the villain will be. I'm like, okay, well, hold on. The whole point of the shows was like it's like a comic book. There was a different villain every episode or two. If you're gonna have one main bad, you're doing it wrong. That's just my take, right off the bat.
So it's going to be one continuous story, probably.
I don't know. I hope not. And anytime they say terms like modern times or modern audiences and things like that, those are always red flags. And that's happened for both of them, both X-Men and the Batman project. Yeah. They talk about.
And we did this on the perspective of my life as a gay black man.
That's who the head writer is.
The mutants are accepted, but the only mutants that won't be accepted are the BIPOC mutants. That's what they're going to write.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, pictures of the gay black dude with his cat on Twitter. With no comic book imagery until he got this job. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, that was The Witcher. Do you remember? The show that came out that the show writers actually said they just wanted to use it to push their agenda. They didn't. They hated the canon and the lore.
Well, he says all the right things about being a fan, but I just don't. I'm just going to have to judge it when we get there because I've grown to love 92 X-Men, and it's so different than Batman animated series, but it's also there's just great stuff in there, and I have a hard time with them trying to adapt either one of those. Those are kind of things where you're better off making like some sort of like feature project, which I think they should do like hour-long features. Quit doing these long things and animated. No, just do an hour. Like, what's wrong with you people?
They can't make money on that.
Oh yeah, you can, especially when you're doing streaming. Yeah.
It costs so much money to do animation now. Like when you were doing hand drawn cells, you had 10 artists, and they would animate the thing in a year, and you'd be done with it. But you were paying the salary for a year, which might have totaled $500,000 or whatever, right, for 10 guys. Now you have to have a couple $1 million of equipment to do the animation. You're paying people graduating from college with like master's degrees, which means they're starting at $100,000 a year. It's just so expensive.
See, that's why I couldn't like be the billionaire, because I would just go back to the hand drawn thing. Like, we're just going to make a movie. It's going to be hand drawn cells. You'll find artists. You'll just find a way to do it.
The problem is it's like that yacht tax that they put that destroyed the yachting industry. They destroyed the hand drawn industry. So now those guys earn $500,000 a year because there's 10 of them on the whole planet. You know, it's
I'll find somebody. Yeah, I find somebody. There's got to be stuff to adapt. There's got to be stuff to adapt.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff you could adapt. I mean,
doing the old style. I think the world has become so nostalgic that someone has to be the one to cojones up and take the risk and do it. So
at this point, though, I think you might even have to have an in-house art school to train these people to do this.
That's true.
Oh yeah, but there's so few of them.
Padawaнаbe's like, no, I'm not doing it. Yeah, Padawannabe, you probably want to. I'll watch it for you, and then you can we'll see. I'll take some of the bullets for you, Chris, because he is a diehard X-Men dude. So it'll whole show on that.
About the artwork, you know, I gotta say, I've always said right tool for the right job, right? And we see it. It's in the media right now all the time as people are talking about AI this and AI that and blah 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 blah. And it's like, look, you know, when we went from, you know, there's also the talk about practical effects and CG. The best movies are the ones that use both, right? You look at Jurassic Park. It's not all CG.
Right.
There's a lot of practical effects in there. They use the right tool for the right job. And I think that there is a way to get the two-dimensional artwork from talented artists, you know, program it into the computer, do it in 2 dimensions, make it look as though it was drawn, but it's got to start with the inspiration of real artists, right tool for the right job. So it can be done, you know, cost effectively, easily, you know, maybe even some better effects and so forth. But yeah, we got to get back to the tradition. And you know what? None of it matters if the story's not there.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. No, I will say that one thing I think we had for proof of concept of what you're saying really is in a different, not to the extreme that you're going to, because I could agree more with what you're saying, but where it was the side-by-side memes of Ant-Man where they're in the volume and it was with the Batman, which had a lot of CGI, but had a lot of practical stuff as well. And one of the things we liked about the Batman was that it felt very real and grounded in Gotham and these kinds of things. I'm not saying there are not problems with the movie, but at least that part. Whereas with Ant-Man, I don't think I ever connected with that movie. There's a line where the character's like, "Where are we?" I'm like, "You're in the volume." It's very, very clear that you're in the volume, where we all know you're in a CGI place with no rules. Nobody understands what's going on. And I think that's and I think that, again, it's old things can become new with, you know, the right twist, that kind of thing.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I saw a YouTube video. Somebody did side-by-side shots of Lord of the Rings, the movie, and Lord of the Rings, the Batchkey animated thing, and it was kind of cool and kind of incredible. Both good, but you know, kind of showing the different mediums.
The Bakshi animation is still my favorite Lord of the Rings adaptation.
Yeah, which was again that was a very different kind of artwork. That was they used a lot of what's it called, rotoscoping.
Yeah,
you know, and I don't see anything wrong with that. It's kind of the ancestor to the motion capture of today in a lot of ways.
I don't know if you guys saw this or not. I was going to share this. I don't know. We'll see what I hit here when I share. If it'll let us do it this way. Here we go. This is the Fathom events. They had just announced Return of the King. So, yeah, Return of the King is going to be back in theaters on April 13th. Big Lebowski is going to be back in theaters on April 16th. So I don't know if you guys saw this. I got another press release yesterday on the extended edition of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King for the 20th anniversary will be on April 13th over at fathomevents.com. April 13th and then April 19th. And then, obviously, Big Lebowski again. And then, as we talked about earlier, Carol Burnett, a celebration. That's right. 2 nights of Carol Burnett, April 22nd, April 24th.
Let me tell you, when they release these things like this, you know, it demonstrates that people are are interested and willing to consume this, because it's better than anything that's out there right now.
Some of these do exceedingly well. Some of these do exceedingly well.
So you can't use any more excuses. Well, people don't want to go to theaters anymore. People don't want to, spend the money, pandemic, whatever. I'm sorry. You got no leg to stand on.
There was a way. Now, Box Office Mojo changed all their stuff, but it used to be you could easily get in there and you could sort by the distribution company and things like that, and you could see the different Fathom events and how much money they made, and you could see how certain ones were doing as far as people would turn it out. So like they're doing Flashdance this year. They're doing Ponyo, which is the 15th anniversary of Ponyo, which is freaking great. Grease has a 45th anniversary in May.
Rest in peace.
Let's see here. Hairspray. Then we have more.
That's classic.
Castle in the Sky. Vacation. Yes, Castle in the Sky was something I think Ironcaster was trying to get me to watch. I have to go see that.
Are all these Regal place theaters or
Fathom Events?
Oh my God! Look at that. 50th anniversary Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, Fathom Events has contracts with different theaters, so you just kind of have to look at your theater to see what they do. Because here it's a mishmash. So here I have Regal and AMC that carry it, but like that little family-owned theater that I mentioned earlier, they don't carry any Fathom Events. I don't know why. That's what they should do, but that's what they. Yeah.
If a brilliant marketing thing that these studios ought to be doing, you license out your old movies to be played in theaters, and you send a quantity of the physical media to be sold at the concession stand at a discount.
And you do just that, give one away. Give one away.
Or that. And it was just, whatever.
Yeah, do it all. Do it.
You would rake in. Yeah, that actually makes sense because they're paying to see the movie in the first place. You do that, people are going to eat it up, and you will be making money. I don't know what happened. No intelligent business people anymore. They don't understand how to make money anymore. You make money on these properties every way you can. You make it at the theater. You make it from licensing. You put it out on stream. You put it out on physical media. You put it out again at the theaters. Make more money over and over and over again.
Yeah.
No. We're going to hide it behind a paywall. Maybe on our streaming service if you subscribe to it.
I don't know why. I don't know why Fathom doesn't try to do some sort of big investment move or something so they could ramp up having more of these playing more often.
You don't want that because then they become dictated by corporations, the board. And then what happens if one of those left-wing ERG environmental, that thing, governance board gets hold of them, then all these cool movies become only woke films. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. But I mean, I just think that the idea of them doing like one a month could easily be ramped up to 2 or 3 a month.
Yeah.
I don't think that, you know what I mean? You just kind of alternate your schedules because this is probably not their whole event schedule. This is just the current one that I had pulled up.
Sure.
Because I used to get the screen because we would go to operas, we would go to different there are some operas in here. There's some different. This is the Met Live is NHD. That's pretty much they have a great partnership with them. So there's other stuff like that. That's international stuff does get mixed in here a lot. But yeah, I wanted to share this today because this Lord of the Rings email came to me. I think it was yesterday when I had the headache. But yeah, I was like, oh boy, yeah. See that in the theater? See a nice. Because I know with Star Trek, they did 4K versions on everything. They were doing 4K. So I don't know. I didn't look into it deeper to know for sure. Bear with me here while I sort. Oh, that's the wrong button. That's okay, though. We can still
one of my life axioms is for almost anything, it is better to want more than to realize a little too much.
That's true. That's true. Padawannabe says, it's extremely nice to experience some of the old movies in the theater with my wife. It creates new and better memories than for me to relate some of the things with that timestamp in my life. I agree. Yeah. Because of this, and again, I have, just the most gratitude for the opportunities that I've been given. And I was able to see Jaws in theater with my oldest daughter. Mrs. Pops and I have seen wonderful classic films together, reliving our childhood from Never-Ending Story to Dark Crystal. I mean, those are two of our favorites that we just really love. Labyrinth. we just went and these were these great theatrical re-screenings, and they were just such a great experience to relive. That was awesome. Yeah, but seeing Jaws with my daughter was the best. I sat there most of my time looking at her. She's seen it before, but she hasn't seen it before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you're there and that music is bearing down on you and stuff, you're like, it gets to you.
And you can't overstate enough how the experience of the cinema is. The smell of the popcorn and just being in the audience and those seats and the big screen and the flickering light and let's face it, the company, dad and daughter going to a movie together. Come on, you can't put a price on that.
Yeah. So, I love the Fathom event stuff. I've got to figure out how to do a better job of trying to promote their stuff regularly and kind of give everybody some awareness about some of these great films that are coming. Cause it is pretty much every month they at least do one. And they've been doing that for years. And I'm hopeful that, they survived the pandemic. So I'm hopeful they'll keep on and carry on. Yeah. And I'm with you, Matt. I get you. I'm greedy as a nerd. I want more, but I do understand the argument. I understand.
That's why I would say seek your nerddom in many, many different sources rather than because look, I was a big proponent of back 20 years ago of Disney buying this stuff because I thought Marvel was going to die the way it was doing. I thought Lucas with the divorce. That's why Lucas sold Lucasfilm because of his divorce. I thought if he didn't sell it, the divorce was going to destroy the company, and it auctioned off each different Star Wars film to every different. You know what I mean? So I was a big. I learned the lesson though. There's just too much. Yes, I'm happy that Star Wars is now one product with Fox being bought and all that, and Marvel's almost back together, and hopefully Disney. But you just can't. You gotta. It's better to, even if it costs you some experience, to ensure you will have an opportunity to have new positive experiences. It's better to have 100 different companies than 5.
Matt, did you see The Offer on HBO Max? The Offer about making The Godfather?
Not yet. I've been thinking about watching that.
Troy, did you get to it?
No, I haven't.
Anonymous?
Nope. Sorry.
What's fascinating about this is it really gives you a pretty good snapshot of I really enjoy watching Robert Evans, Bob, as the producer, and him talking about, making Love Story. We're going to have a sit down and we're going to trade De Niro for Pacino to get this done. And we're going to do, I think all of that is lost.
Yeah.
These are not movie makers anymore. It's just corporate boards and corporate committees and whiteboards and not. You could see Robert, and I've done interviews. This guy has a swinger, if you know what I'm trying to say, guys. He did not care. He'd already made it. You know what I mean? So the show, again, I'm sure there's a lot of creative liberties. Some stuff I fact checked, some stuff I haven't. But it just shows me that time is dead. Like you said, the corporation that's running Amazon and WBD and the Disney Mouse House, which is the worst of all of them, in my opinion. There's just too much. And I think Disney is part of the problem because it's safe. Like, why did they buy Fox if they weren't going to do anything with the library? To me, that was the biggest blunder of all of this. They spent all this money.
They bought
and they didn't do
Fox
anything.
for 2 reasons. They wanted to get Star Wars back, and they wanted to get the Marvel properties back. That's all they cared about. They actually sold chunks of Fox off and are considered selling more of Fox library off.
Well, they're going to have to now. They're just digging themselves such a financial hole. Like it's insane. But
you could put Star Wars. You could put any of the original 3, let's say, even the original 6, first 6 episodes. You can put those out in theaters today, and you could probably pull in at least $400 or $500 million over the course of 2 months with those movies. As long as you don't oversaturate. Like let's say you put the OT out this summer, and then 5 years later you do it again, because just to see those in the theater, like you were saying, that every people will bring their kids and roll it on, and that's the value in those high quality older products.
Well, we can look at that because they've been bringing the OG Star Wars out on their anniversaries, and you can go back and look at the box office revenue for those and just kind of get a glimpse of where that would be. Because I mean, that's Star Wars. That's the best that there is. And if that didn't make any money, or if that didn't make very much money, then you can gauge where that kind of thing would go.
even if it was cringy, because it would be, why they're not doing a 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi release in May, even if there's 5 minutes of having to hear Filoni and Favreau and all of them talk about the OT or whatever. If I had to sit through that to get a theater experience, it just seems like it's free money, and there's no plan to do any of that. It just makes no sense to me.
Fans are struggling and screaming, trying to get Hasbro to do certain releases of certain things, and we're getting some. We're getting the retro figures. In fact, they just hit my credit card. I had them on pre-order for 6 months, and a bunch of other action figures and whatnot. But there's a lot of stuff that's not happening. The fans are going, "What are you waiting for? This is the 40th anniversary."
Yeah. Wow. Well, I want to cut back over to Anonymous because listen, I check over your channel, and you did warn me off of the 90s show, which I appreciate very much. That's 90s show is so bad. You warned me off of it, so I appreciate that. You took one for me.
Yeah.
I will say you are among those that seem like they're finding joy and happiness playing Hogwarts Legacy. Has that been fun for you, man? Because you kind of got railroaded into that, from what I understand.
I did. I figured I have to play it because it was a gift. Of course, you have to play it. Obviously, I wasn't going to buy it. I wasn't planning on buying it. It's not like I wanted to give any money to J.K. Rowling. It's not my thing, and I'm not a big Harry Potter fan either. So, but since I was gifted it, I was going to play it because I'm obligated, and from my friend, and since I was going to play it, I thought I got a channel, might as well stream it too.
Yeah,
and make him watch it. So.
Yeah,
but awesome. Yes, it's not a bad game. It's a very good game, minus the representation, in certain parts. But as far as the mechanics, the storyline, everything so far is pretty top notch. So if you want to spend that kind of money on that, or give her money. It'll depend on where you come down on that sort of issue. I would recommend it as a decent game to play. And
again, this is somebody who did not want to do this. I will vouch for hearing those streams and comments and whatever. It's like, oh no, Anonymous got strong armed into playing. So just so you guys know, you can check out some of those streams. It's kind of fun to get that perspective as well. So, and Padawannabe says, he barely sees Star Wars toys and Legos. So the Legos I do still see, but I'm only seeing expensive sets. I'm not seeing stuff that's for kids anymore. I'm only seeing Lego sets that are very expensive. I'm not seeing stuff on the shelves that, I'm going to buy for my grandkid for his birthday. It's like I'm not spending $20 or $25 on this little ship thing that will fit in my hand with one little figure, when I can get, a different brand or something that's like $10. They only want to do like these $60, $80, $100, $150 massive sets. I don't really know about toys because I don't pay any attention, and the kids are not into Star Wars toys at all. Legos are still going, but not toys.
Lego is making money hand over foot with these sort of Lego kits, and I think they've gotten lost with not putting the generic sets out and emphasizing how much kids can use their imagination.
I'm gonna talk to you. Talk on that for a second. When I was growing up, we just had buckets of Legos.
Yep.
There was no sets. There was no thing. It's just so unimaginative to me to buy a box of Legos that only makes one thing. And I couldn't stand it. I had to buy some for my kid when he was growing up, and I had to put it together and talk about tedious. But when I was a kid, I used to make my own X-Wing fighters with freaking random Legos. And I'd make all kinds of weird crap. Imagination is lost now.
Well, let me defend the littles. Now, I don't know about some of the age groups here, but again, I can go back to the 5 days with the grandkids. All they did was make stuff. So yes, they have kits, and they will make their kit and they'll do their thing. At our house, they usually ask for those to be set aside. So I don't know if that's consistent at their house, but at our house, the one little dude, he got a special Spider-Man car that he built with a little bit of supervision. he wanted all that stuff kind of set aside on the shelf. And then when sometimes he'll ask to play with it, he'll get it down and play with it. And then the bucket of Legos, they make all sorts of stuff. They do exactly what you're saying, Anonymous. They'll make ships. He's into trains right now, so he's making trains. I posted a short of that on my other channel. Those kinds of things. So the littles are no different than us. They want to do creative things. They're okay doing both. They don't lose the creative juice as long as you're still encouraging them.
Yeah.
As long as they get that, because you probably got them a bunch of Legos, or you have a bunch of randos laying around for them to play with.
Yeah,
what
yard
parents
sale,
do
man.
that?
Yeah.
So, but what parents are
$100? Yeah.
How many parents are out there going, well, I'm just going to get some just massive big junk of Legos for their kids, or they're just going to buy, oh, there's a Lego TIE fighter. I'm going to buy him that. He can put it together and he can play with it.
The market for this isn't kids. It's people who do model kits.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Yeah, so that's what they're making money off of these things for, the people who do model kits.
There's also a middle ground here too, because you can buy, even off-brand Legos in large quantities, and then you just go online. There's whole communities that have instructions for, kits that were never marketed, kits that people have come up with, and you can build your own this, that, the other, whatever. That's fun too. It's all a different style of play.
I will say though that where we are dancing around it too is that it's just they've made it so ineffective. It's so expensive for like the littles. Like, so for us, I will admit, yard sales, thrift stores. I think we got the last gift ones that we got them. I don't know what it was for, but I think they were like the Dollar General or something. It was like a sale at a Dollar General, and they were like $5 or $10 for something that just didn't fly. We're always watching them like at Ollie's. I don't know if you guys know what Ollie's is, but we go to this discount place called Ollie's, which has comic books and toys, all the stuff that doesn't make it. It's both funny and also sometimes a good buy. Because sometimes it's like where all the Tika toys go and where all the Captain Marvel toys went. And it's where all the Black Panther Wakanda Forever toys are starting to go now. They're all like they're the first
all the
couple
Rose Tico figures.
Oh yeah, they'll be there forever. Like there's still Captain Marvel figures at one of our Ollies.
Yeah.
How long ago was that movie out? Was that movie like 4 years ago? There's still some Captain Marvels every now and again on the shelves. That's crazy.
Island of Forgotten Toys.
It is. It's the land of unwanted toys, in my opinion, most of the time.
Well, that was Legos. A rumor I heard. One of the reasons that companies like Disney won't put out like older toys as much is because the ERG people are being very stubborn about wanting to force people to buy like Riva toys and Rose Tico toys and all that.
Well, people just don't want it. So I agree. It's and I love hearing this stuff, Chris. Whenever we do another stream together, do your show and tell stuff. Make sure you get your lightsaber out for me so we can definitely show off your lightsaber. That'd be freaking cool, man. So when we took them to Ollie's to let them go free for all on us, it was interesting how what would have been like the higher end type stuff. So for instance, every now and again, you'll see like a Star Wars Black Series figure there or something like that, some random figure that no one cares about. Or it'll be like some sort of like weird Lego that you're like, why would anybody thought this would sell? It'll be like something like it'd be like a weird Harry Potter one, but from a scene no one would care about. Like it'd be like a stairwell or something. It's just something strange. Yeah. They never ever gravitate towards any of those expensive toys. They always go back to the fundamentals. They're always there looking for, this type of car, this type of doll, this type of stuff. So the kids themselves, they're no different than we are. They are completely the same. That's why the granddaughter was watching commercials from the 70s and 80s going, yeah, Pops, I could get one of those little Barbie things and blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, that thing ain't been around for 30 years. Girl, I ain't going on eBay to buy that thing for you.
And now you hit on the big, big problem in the toy industry. Toys are no longer being made for kids.
Yep.
They're being made for the collector audience. And that's why they are so expensive. And you're going to end up with a generation of kids that never played with those toys because they couldn't afford them, because they were only being bought by 30 and up people that had disposable income. And these companies aren't thinking through their futures. And
then whenever you're our age, or like I am, I'm going to try to get through this first financial phase of doing pops. And then at some point I'm going to buy one of that $600 1:6 scale Darth Vader with the flaming lightsaber statue that I saw. That I'm like, that's what I'm going to save up for.
You might have to sell a kidney for that.
No, I got a comic book or two. I'm going to try to trade. I'm like, that's how I ended up with the X-Men cards that are behind me on the shelf. So if I have my camera on, you'd see the X-Men box. I traded a comic book for that. I didn't pay cash. Yeah. So yeah.
Hey, you're my kind of guy, wheeling and dealing, man. That's how I grew up and how I got like half of the stuff I have.
Well, and that's kind of where I'm at too. I don't even talk about like the eBay stuff and things like that because it's just like I can't keep up. It's like the market's all crazy, and I got to be honest. A lot of times it's like, I kind of have something priced out at the moment, but the market will change. If someone makes me a reasonable offer or whatever, the biggest problem right now is shipping. Shipping is a freaking nightmare. It's so expensive to ship things, and everything is. There's so many cheaters out there that will say they didn't get it, or they say it arrived broken. And that's fine because I had an item that went. And it was a bobblehead type object, and it got broken. Right, fair enough. Okay, so I go through all the things that it forces me to give them a refund, but they have to take the product to the post office to file the insurance claim, and it's like so I was screwed twice basically. There was no way around. So I'm like, I'm just not going to do any of that on that. I'm not going to do any more shipping of those kind of items anymore. I guess I'll just keep them, give them away to someone I trust or whatever. So I don't know what to do. Yeah. But no, I love wheeling and dealing. I would gladly find a trade, and I would gladly find homes for things that I know will be loved or enjoyed. That's why I've given away so many comic books and some of the cards. I want them to have some love. I want them to be enjoyed. So,
sure, for sure.
Oh yeah, he's got the guitars. Yeah, anything with music, man. That stuff's very expensive. Yeah, Jack, I totally get you, man. Yeah. And let's see, Star Wars Lego helmet. It's about 60 new. Now it goes for at least 150. It's only a couple years old. Yeah, those things were huge collector things because they're cool to have on your desk. I wanted the Thanos one, the Thanos gauntlet. The gauntlet, yeah. And it was like, real expensive. I'm like, oh, come on, man. I don't want it that much. I don't want that much. So
yeah, ain't nothing worse than seeing something so awesome and then you see the price tag and you be like, no, I can't do that.
Well, and Netter and I have come to the conclusion that when we see something, the first thing you do is you count the cost. Is that price worth it to me? Do I want it that badly? The underlying thought is the price going to come down or will it become completely unavailable?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to reevaluate your first one, and maybe we've bought some things that we probably didn't really need, maybe spent a little bit more than we should have, but
well, that's a gamble too, right? Because you don't know the future of what you're buying that much unless it's a really limited run and it's a very popular. You can kind of guess, but lots of times that the thing you're buying may flop.
Yeah. I mean, I have a video up from several years ago, one of my earliest videos, the story of Netter getting me the Hasbro HasLab Jabba sail barge on the secondary market. So she basically paid twice as much for it.
Wow.
But never again,
Let me interject here real quick because Matt does have to bail out. He's going to be joining Roman's stream, which starts about 8. For those of you that have not heard me plug it, Roman's stream tonight will be on Aliens. It's like part 2. They did Aliens 1 and 2. Now they're going to do all these sequels. I'll pray over you, Matt, because Lord knows the sequels to the Alien films. It's rough. It's rough. So
my hot take is that there's only one great Alien movie, and it's Alien.
It is a very hot take. Yes, I know. You don't care for the second one. I know.
No, I don't. It's not that I don't care. It's okay. No. It's about as okay as the third one. That's the way I put it.
Yeah.
There were several writing holes in the second movie so large you can drive a Terminator could drive a semi through and not be hit.
Well, and there's Matt. He has a channel and he has content, and that's how we treat people who have hot takes. No, I'm just kidding. No, listen, love you, bro. Thanks for hanging out with us and doing
based about 10 times in the chat tonight.
Oh yeah, they're always going after you. Yeah. That's what? That's fun though. That's fun to discuss. That is a great stream, by the way. If you haven't seen that stream, just make sure you go over to Roman's channel. He's a great YouTuber doing great content as well. So, Matt, listen, bro. Thanks you so much for being a member, supporting me, hanging out with us, and having a good talk.
Yep.
Love you, man. Take care.
Later, guys.
Later, man.
So yeah, Troy, I get you whenever you make those moves and you're like, oh man, did I overpay? How much did I overpay? What do I do? And sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. You just gotta kind of have to roll with it.
We lived and learned back in 92, 93, when that Power of the Force, they started putting out the new 3 and
Yes.
3/4 inch action figures. 2 figures were really hard to get, and it was Lando and Leia. And we spent, back then, those figures were going for like $5 each, and we ended up finding them. I can't remember if we did eBay or something to get them for like $35 each. And like 3 months later, there were shelves of them. It was just the distribution for those figures. And I'm like, okay, never again. This
and I
was a
think that this
bad buy.
is, for me, the comic book guy that went through the 90s, right? Image Comics ruins it for everyone, right? They create this mass surplus of stuff and oversaturation that takes over Marvel and DC and stuff. Talk about a hot take. I was listening to this documentary. It's on Tubi. I think it's called Image something. Well, there's a documentary on Tubi about Image where they're all doing interviews.
Sure.
And Rob Liefeld has a comment like, "We're the reason they killed Superman. We broke Batman's back." And I was like, whoa, that is a heavy take. And that is so true, living through it.
Yep.
You kind of learn real quick, not to pull the trigger. I wish I could go back and talk to myself. Listen, I know you think you can flip this. I think you think you can make some money on this, or you really want it that bad to complete your collection. But I'm just telling you to wait. Go buy more Spawn #1s. Go buy this instead.
Yeah.
But that's part of it, and you wish you could pass that on to other folks. I don't know that I've done much of that on this channel, but maybe that's something we should do, because there is some words of wisdom that need to be passed along to younger collectors behind us. Because don't go out and buy a whole bunch of Superman #1s at regular retail. Those things will probably be $0.25 to $1 soon, because there's so many of them, and if they're going to be big, you might as well just wait till it's $5. You might as well wait until there's at least a little bit of movement to know that it's at least got something special that people will care about. Otherwise, it's just another book in the bin. So, Claude stopped in. Hey, buddy. Hope you're doing all right. All right. Well, Anonymous, are you still going to be doing the Harry Potter streams, or was that like a short-term thing? Are you still rolling on with that?
Yeah, I'm still rolling. I just hadn't had time this week, so it'll probably be this weekend. I'll get back on the horse or the broom, as it were.
So funny. I listen at my 1.5 to 2 speed, but I'll kind of hop through it and kind of get your reactions and little things here. It makes me smile. I love joy. That's all. You guys bring me joy. You got to do more videos. You got to do more videos.
Yeah, there's so much to make fun of on that, and I don't know. I just like making fun of the stuff that's in there. It's fun. It's a good game and it's fun. And there's a lot to poke at, so especially for a noob that don't know Harry Potter, all these weird words and things that they do is just
dude, it's so bad. The first movie, and Netter's got them all. She loves those movies. Now, I may be overstating it. She liked them all, so we did get them all. But I sat through the first one and I fell asleep halfway through. And
dude, I didn't get 10 minutes in.
You guys know I love the geeky stuff. I love the fantasy, and I love I just couldn't get into it.
I couldn't either. I'm right there with you.
But I mean, she doesn't hold it against me, because we also got her the book collection of the Twilight, and she tried watching the movie and she was like, "The heck is this?" I said, "So we're not getting the other movies?" She says, "No, I don't want to even see the other movies." Okay, no problem.
I'm with you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, Anonymous is definitely a muggle for sure. Yeah, definitely.
I'm a muggle.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
I
need to spend a minute to make sure we plug Troy's channel for anybody who is not subscribed. Talk about a great Friday night show, guys. He already plugged the Eddie and the Cruiser type stuff. He'll be working with other creators like Al and Ned are on, but he's going to have on some really fun guests, big supporters of the show, big friends of mine. Daryl the Derelict will be coming up in April.
Yep.
I think Ryan is coming up. Is it the last week? Is it in March or April? It's like at the end of the month.
I actually have to go to my channel to double check.
I don't remember, but Ryan is coming up. Daryl is on the list. So yeah,
so tomorrow night, Big Al for the rewatch. Ryan Roger Athe is the following week. Daryl the Derelict the following week after that. Then a buddy of mine, Matt Flynn, I've been on his channel a couple times. Then April 21st, I am doing a watch party of The Dark Side of the Rainbow, or The Dark Side of Oz, or whatever you want to call it, linking up Dark Side of the Moon with The Wizard of Oz. And my guest will be Tom Connors of Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Awesome. That'll
as
be
a
great.
subject matter expert. And just line this one up. Last weekend in April, I'll be doing a watch party of Safety Geeks SVI with special guest, the writer, creator, and star of the series, Tom Conkle.
Wow, that's gonna be awesome.
Oh,
That's gonna be fun.
Getting him on, are you?
I know, right? I'm like Tom Connors, Tom Conkle. I'm like, I feel like I'm big time.
You
Yeah,
are
really.
big time, bro. We're doing our thing. You got to keep this hammering away. You just had on Storyman Jack. He's been here in our chat hanging out. You had Storyman Jack on, and you had Mags on. Magitech Mags is just the best. So
Max,
it's a great
You're not
show.
going to reach pinnacle. You're not going to be pinnacle until you get me on. So that's just,
I was gonna say,
that
if
in
I had a sister, Mags is who I would want to be my sister. She totally. I told her that on the stream. Yeah, I know. I was thinking about asking Anonymous, but it's like,
you did, he's liar.
Anonymous,
dude. I have a list. It's just, look, I'm already through April with scheduled shows.
It goes fast. It's also like, it's such a blast to get to know everybody and come together and sharing topics and things like that. And then you guys have leveled up by, being here with me doing this. And it's like, can't wait to be doing more of that. It's like
my regular sidekick, Aged Boomer, he's with the exception of, I think, tomorrow night, he can't be there, but he's with me every Friday night. And there was 1 week not too long ago, didn't have a guest lined up, and he's like, what are we doing for Friday? I'm like, I don't know. If we don't have a guest, we'll just pick a topic and talk on it. He's like, oh, like the old days. I'm like, yeah, we can still do that kind of stuff. We ended up, someone freed up their schedule and was able to join us. But it's like, whatever. It's casual. This isn't late night with David Letterman or anything like that.
Yeah, just you guys can do you. It's fine enough. Everybody likes you guys, so it's no big deal if
so
somebody bails on you.
Right, exactly. Well, that's the other thing too. I make it very clear to all my guests, and especially like Tom Connors, Tom Conkle. It's like, guys, I understand you guys are busy. If something comes up, no harm, no foul. You got to cancel last minute. Cancel on me. That's fine. I can switch gears at any time, and we'll just have you on when you're available.
There you go.
All right. I'm going to throw this out there just because this is like breaking news. I don't know if you guys are into gaming or not, or if you're familiar with this comic book or not. This is going to be, I think, next level. This comic book was amazing. Ninja Turtles Last Ronin is being adapted into a video game. Interesting. This comic book, this graphic novel, if you will, I don't know. I don't even know how much the individual issues are going. Someone loaned me. They knew I was going on and on about wanting to read this, and this was reprinted. It's going to get. I don't know why they haven't already made multiple reprints or whatever, soft covers, everything. Because this is it's such a fun balance between a continuation of the story and nostalgia. They have flashback sequences that are drawn like the vintage Eastman and Laird black and white. Yeah, it's very nice. And it also can it checks the boxes for all what the wokies would think, even though it's done within the framework of what the story would make sense. It's not done at the expense of other characters or men or anything like that. It's just it's stuff that actually would make sense. So it works so well. So if any of the Turtles people are out there and they have not heard this, this will probably be among those circles because
this looks like putting the game out.
It came up as Paramount Global, so I'm not sure exactly what that means as far as the gaming circles go, because I don't know if that means they make them directly or if they're just financing a developer. But yeah, I just saw this come across my little news circles here. So yeah. I'm a huge fan of Last Ronin. I actually haven't even done a video because I didn't know how to do it justice. I felt like I could share pieces of it. And then I thought, well, I don't want to spoil pieces of it. And you can't get very far in the story And I'm sure if you Google anything about what Last Ronin is, they're going to spoil it for you because they're going to tell you some of the main character elements. And I'm like, part of the fun of reading this was I was completely blind. I'd only heard good things. And then when I had the big reveal, at least the first reveal, I was like, oh man, they got me. Oh, that's so good. And I just wanted to be as much of that experience for people as I could give them. So that's why I haven't done a review. I don't know how to frame the review in that circle. So,
and the problem is with something like this, where, like you're saying, they haven't done reprints, so it's not readily available to most people.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they know it's a buzz because at the San Diego Comic-Con, they released like a limited signed edition that's selling for like $150 secondary market or more.
Is there some sort of a rights or licensing issue that's holding them up or something?
I have no idea. I wouldn't think so. Eastman and Laird were directly. One of them was directly involved. The one that's not doing. I can't keep track which one's which. But no, I'm just happy to see something that fans liked to keep moving forward.
I agree with you.
I really, really am. I know the Gears of War thing is also hired a screenwriter because they are doing a live some sort of adaptation for that. So there's definitely some news that's been happening over the last couple of days. Not content I'm going to get to, and not content that I'm totally tied to because I'm not a gamer. But they're trying to find things to develop. I don't know how well that'll go. I'm not tied to The Last of Us, so my take on Last of Us is pretty from a normie point of view. So if those of you have watched any of those videos, so yeah, we'll see. So awesome stuff. Yeah, no, Troy, I'm so proud of you, man. You persevere, you keep going, you're reaching out guests, you're just trying to track people down. Sometimes people can't do it. Some people say I can't do it right now. Some people tell you no. Or you don't hear back. My response, I don't hear back. So that's what you got to do. You kind of have to just take it and keep moving, having fun.
I do have to say I at least get communication back, and there have been a couple that our schedules just don't work out. Sure. I understand that. But
I know I can't do Fridays. I've been on your show. You did a special show. You did a special show just for me, which I felt honored to do because I couldn't do Fridays.
And I was talking to Netter about that too. I was telling her about because she was hoping you'd work with her. And I said, there's this, the scheduling and whatnot. And I said, but now in StreamYard, you can pre-record videos and release them, because there's really, it's not really easy to do that unless you're using a service like StreamYard or something like that.
Oh, I agree. It was such a impossibility, and then now you can pre-record it and you can do it as a premiere, so it kind of pops up as though a live video, but it's not live. But you can be in chat. So for me, I've maintained my 10:15 in the morning release time, even though I can't always be in the chat. It's at least consistent with the algorithm. And then many times I can be in the chat, and that's why I chose the early morning on the Saturday and Sundays, is because I wanted it to be there as early as possible for people. I don't make the cartoons premieres, but I do that with the What's Your Story because I want people to be able to have comments and questions that we can at least address if we didn't get to it in the natural flow of the conversation.
That makes sense. And thank you so much, Chris Persa, for dropping my link. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much, guys. Listen, we all got to support one another, get out there and just we got to lock arms and help each other, support each other, find stuff you like, and when you don't like something, guys, it's okay. Just quietly unsubscribe or don't watch. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. There's tons of other stuff to do and love and support one another on.
It is so true that there are so many channels I'm trying to subscribe to and support. Definitely, if they've been on my channel, I'm definitely following them, definitely sharing out their streams. You guys that are following me on social media, you see me all the time, just sharing. That doesn't necessarily mean I even make it to all those videos. I'll go and I'll hit the thumbs up, but there's just so much content and so little time in the day. I can't.
You can't put that on your shoulders. I don't expect, anybody who's following me, anybody in our sphere to actually watch my videos that much, because there's so much, and maybe they get it later on down the road, not a month, but the video, I'll go ahead and watch this. I ain't got nothing to do. But it's fine. I don't get offended if you guys can't You can't watch my Hogwarts stream. It's no big deal. It's
Oh, I'm offended for you.
no,
I'm offended on you get out there, people, and you watch his Hogwarts Legacy because he didn't want to be there, and it's hysterical.
Well, and there's something in that too. We complain about the algorithms and stuff, but one of the ways that the YouTube algorithm does work the way it should is when you do subscribe to a channel and you do hit the notification bell, right? Then when you're like, okay, I have a few minutes, what can I watch right now? Oh, Anomas is live. Let me go check him out,
Yeah, that's how I found out.
I wouldn't have seen it if I wasn't subscribed.
Right? Yeah. You happened to be live, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know he was doing these. And I'm like, and then that's how I went backwards, and I was catching up on other content, which you of course are on, and I was like, oh, I see what happened now, and I pieced it all together. So yeah. Hey, Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips. Hopefully you're having a good time, having a good day out there today. We're getting close to winding down, so
one more thing. I just am going to watch Night Court.
Good things.
I haven't heard anything about it, so I'm going to watch it, and if I deem it worthy, I'll try to do a video on it.
Well, even if you don't deem it's worthy, do a couple minutes and say, listen, I like this or I don't like that. You can do little things to kind of throw out there some perspective. My wife got a couple episodes in. I don't think she disliked it. She just, I think, got other stuff going on, but she was going to watch. I hadn't gotten around to it. So
it hurts my heart though. Harry and Marky, it's like, oh, we're losing so much great talent.
Yeah, it's hard. We're getting old, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah. I mean, it's inevitable, right?
Oh, don't remind me. You're bringing me down.
I mean, we were just talking about what was it? Battle of the Planets. I'm like, I miss Casey Kasem.
Oh yeah. It was. There's so many of these shows where you recognize the voices. Yeah. There are so many of these cartoons. Like I said, we're watching. And Troy, you and I were talking about this on the, it's like, well, I'm watching stuff and it's like, there's a Attack of the Killer Tomatoes cartoon with all these different voices. And there's there's a Dukes of Hazzard cartoon. And there's, you have things that you didn't really watch, like your sister, the Care Bears or whatever. It's like, there's so much stuff and these commercials and stuff are flying by or whatever. And I'm just like, wow,
When it comes to those voice actors. Yeah, it was back the how many years ago now Casey Kasem passed, but I was at work, was on break going through my at the time it was Facebook. I don't do Facebook anymore, but I was on Facebook and a meme came up and it was a picture of all the Super Friends and they were raising a glass and they went right down the line with the word bubbles, right? To Casey, gets to Robin and it's empty.
Oh.
And I was in tears. I just got up and walked away from my desk. I was just,
wow. Yeah, that'd be rough, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Robin and Shaggy.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting ride revisiting this stuff, and I'm so glad we were able to do streams like this. I can only do it usually once a month, but this is always so much fun to be able to kind of pull together some people we can't always hang out together. And it's kind of like a nice come and go environment where people can kind of come in, hang out for a while. There's never any hard feelings with me anyway, but it is great. And I'm not going to hold you to that. You ever give me some sort of Night Court thermometer? Give me some sort of readback.
You're committed.
I promise nothing, dang it. I just said I might do it.
Too late. He put the words in your mouth.
Because I'm looking for stuff that Mrs. Pops will watch. Like, so for me, I also need like, how clean is it? Like, so I had recommended to me Resident Alien, which I think has been relatively clean. But God, I can't stand how woke this show got. I can't stand the amount of girl bosses in this show.
Did you not watch my video?
No, I did not know you even did a video till now.
That's my best video. That's the one I got the most views on. I'm still getting views on it every day.
On Resident Alien?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, it was recommended by Left Eye Ego, which I'm going to call him out by name when I do whatever video I can throw together. Because oh my gosh,
hammer him. That first season was good.
Thank you, Zach. Always a supporter.
Yeah,
Zach is always the best.
The first season was great. I enjoyed it. It was original. It had a cool story. The actors were great. The writing was even better. but second season just took.
I didn't even get the second
dump.
season. I didn't even get second season. So I'm talking about
What?
first season. The middle. So here's this. So Resident Alien season 1 is exactly the Hollywood problem. The guy that actually wanted to do this and sold this wrote episodes 1, 2, and the finale. That's why there's so much filler and nonsensical stuff that kind of happens that doesn't make a lot of sense, and why some of the female characters are so unlikable is because they're all written by all of these little scissoring hens. I couldn't.
If you think that number one's bad, I ain't saying it didn't have problems. I had some issues with it. I wasn't perfect, but I did like it. And I did like the originality of it.
When Alec Tudyk is on screen, he's stealing every minute. Like, he's freaking fantastic on the show. He's hysterical, especially early in the season, the first couple episodes where he's like trying to learn to be a human and stuff. Yeah. It's fantastic.
This is where, sorry.
I was just going to say, but when we dive into these crazy replaceable characters, I got lost in it a little bit. So go ahead, Troy.
Yeah, this is where the modern entertainment industry failed to learn the lessons that were learned a long time ago. This was what happened, and I'm just pulling a couple examples out of my head. I'm sure there's hundreds of others. Twin Peaks did so well in its first season. Then the network got involved and said, you need to do this. You need to wrap up the mystery. You need to move on to something else, blah, 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 blah. Mark Frost walked away. David Lynch walked away. And the people that took over had no clue how to do what the creators had been doing. And it fell apart and it died. On the other side of that coin, you got J. Michael Straczynski with Babylon 5, who was involved all the way through. He didn't write every single episode, but he wrote a lot of them and was very involved in the writing of each episode. And even when things went bad, looked like they weren't going to get renewed for a fourth season, he did what he had to do to wrap things up. Then he had to do what he had to do to start it up again. And, one vision, seeing it through.
Yeah.
We don't have anyone with vision in the entertainment industry anymore. And if they do, they get beat down by the system so badly. I'm looking at Favreau, they stop there.
In my head when you
I'm only going to correct you with this whole Taylor Sheridan situation. I don't know how he's keeping so much control, because even his subpar writing, the season 2 of Mayor of Kingstown does have some issues, but whatever he's doing, the people that he's surrounding himself with are far superior than a lot of these other people. It's the same thing with The Offer. If you watch The Offer, you're like, I got so angry when I was watching The Offer because it showed me that it was good. I'm like, okay, hold on. You made Halo complete dog crap diarrhea, but you could make this show good. What is wrong with you people? And I think it's just they don't care about certain IPs. They don't care about certain things. And like you said, they farm it out to these, purple-haired weirdos and stuff like that. It's just a mess. So
that's exactly it.
Well, listen, we do have to wrap up. So we're a few minutes ahead, so people can you take a little bathroom break, get a little snack. Hopefully you can make it over to Roman's show, or some of the others are at 8. I think A Common Idiot, Matt, is also doing one of his streams tonight. There's other folks as well. Do your thing.
We are.
Netter's on at 9, and I'll be
Netter's. Yeah, Netter. I said Netter's coming up. Anything else you guys can think of we should plug real quick?
540 Studios doing a stream tonight here in a little bit.
540's on. Yep. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. I always share that stream out.
Yeah, there's always great stuff to choose from. And it's just great to be part of a group of fans that love to talk nerd stuff. And you guys have been awesome. Thanks for being here with us tonight. I talked about him earlier, so it'd only be fitting if we went out with a little Bob Ross. So be strong, be blessed, talk hard, make tomorrow better than today. Here's some Bob.
All I do is chill.